Now 72 degrees. The fog has rolled in. Now, this is from the leftover from the fireworks display they had beforehand. Jim, one of the guys we talked about, and as a matter of fact, the man that's going to lead off tonight for the Rangers, the newest Ranger, Al Newman. How big an impact can this man have on the Ranger ball club?
So, as I said earlier, basically his attitude is outstanding. One of the things that impressed me over the years playing against him and then as a broadcaster for 2 years is his approach to the game. He's a guy that can play 3 different positions in the infield and do it very effectively. We saw some plays actually in Oklahoma City against the Cleveland Indians on Saturday, some outstanding plays, and he's a guy that will be able to contribute in that area late in the ball game.
Okay, that's Al Newman. He's all set to go, and we'll be getting underway here momentarily, waiting for some of the smoke to clear out of the dome. It really doesn't have anywhere to go, so they're going to have to rely on the air conditioning, the fans to kind of run this stuff away. Might be a little problem with the fly ball. This might be the first pop fly ever lost indoors due to fog or due to haze. Kind of looks like a nice day in the LA freeway system. Well, opening night, and quite a special opening night. We mentioned Nolan Ryan coming in after completing his warm-up pitches with Tom House and starting what is a record-setting 26th Major League season. So Nolan Ryan out there tonight, and Rangers maybe not built around the man, but certainly Nolan Ryan representing the heart and soul of what the Texas Rangers hope to be, and that is a consistent winning competitor. Well, speaking about the Texas Rangers, it's time now for the Southwest Airlines Texas Rangers starting lineup. And as we said, Al Newman is going to lead off. He'll play at second base tonight. Rafael Palmeiro will bat second. He's at first base. Juan Gonzalez hits number 3. He's playing in center field. The cleanup hitter is right fielder Ruben Sierra. Brian Downing dropped down in the lineup. He's the DH this evening, hitting 5th. He'll be followed by Dean Palmer, the third baseman. Then it's the shortstop, Dickie Thon, batting 7th. Monty Ferris gets the start in left field against the left-hander Randy Johnson. He'll bat 8th. And the catcher, Ivan Rodriguez, will bat 9th.
And for Bill Plummer's Seattle Mariners, starting the outfield, a very powerful outfield, an outfield that will compete with the Rangers this year for home runs and RBI production. Starting in left field with Kevin Mitchell, followed by Ken Griffey Jr. in center, Jay Buhner in right. In the infield, Edgar Martinez at third, Omar Vizquel at short, 3-time Gold Glove winner Harold Reynolds at second, ex-Ranger Pete O'Brien at first, behind the plate Dave Alley, and on the mound will be Randy Johnson.
Okay, the umpiring crew, as you saw for tonight's opener, we have Jim Evans calling the balls and strikes. Jim there on the right of your screen. He'll be joined by Larry McCoy at first base. Ted Hendry is the umpire at second. And John Hirschbeck rounds out the umpiring crew. He'll be over at third base here this evening. Well, the crowd of better than 55,000 on hand to watch this opener. The Mariners last year drawing over 2 million people for the first time in franchise history. But again, the franchise having some financial problems. They finally appear to be getting the backing of the local community as far as the business community is concerned. And of course, they'll have a presentation to the ownership committee, and the committee will make its recommendation to the owners as far as the sale of the Seattle ball club. Jeff Smillian, the current owner, has put the ball club up for sale, and the Mariners are taking the field now in a rather hazy kingdom. Mariners last year finishing in 5th place in the American League West, the first time in franchise history that they finished over the 500 mark. They were 83-79. They trailed the world champion Minnesota Twins by 12 ball games. The Rangers, of course, won 85 ball games. They lost 77, finished 10 ball games back in 3rd place. And the 6-foot, 10-inch left-hander, Randy Johnson, making his first opening night start in his young career, throwing a no-hitter in 1990. Randy Johnson, who has at times been clocked at nearly 100 miles an hour on the mound. And boy, at 6'10", against left-handers, it has to be one of the scarier moments seeing that guy when you know his control isn't always exactly pinpoint. trying to be a left-handed hitter going up there against him.
Well, that's one of the reasons why Bobby Valentine basically has kept Kevin Reimer out of the lineup tonight, using Monty Ferris in left field and Newman at second. The Rangers will see 3 left-handed pitchers in this series, and you'll probably see Reimer against the other 2 lefties, but Johnson, very difficult. He comes at you 3/4, and Rafael Palmeiro will be the only left-hander in the lineup to take on the Big Bird tonight. But very, very deceptive, a lot of arms, a lot of legs, and when he throws the ball, it looks like his release point is about halfway to home plate. Just a very difficult type of guy to face, and a pitcher that, in order to be effective, needs to work the inside part of the plate. Any left-hander cannot allow a predominantly right-handed order to hang out over the plate, so he will try to pitch inside tonight, and that will be the game plan for him. And if he can get a few breaking balls over, it'll be great. One of the interesting things about Johnson this spring is he's been working on a split finger. And here's a guy that only had 5 base on balls in 20 innings pitched this spring, and using it basically when he's got ahead in the count and he wastes it as a pitch. And a lot of forkball pitchers will use it when the count's 0-2, 1-2, try to waste it. And boy, I tell you what, if he gets that pitch going, getting ahead consistently, he will be dangerous. Here's a guy, too, that last year in 201 innings of work walked 152 and allowed 151 hits, just walking one more batter than a strikeout, and he struck out 228 in his 201 innings of work.
Sonny, you talked about those 5 base on balls. 3 of them were his last outing, so he really had an outstanding spring. And the newest Seattle Mariner, Kevin Mitchell.
And some think that possibly in this ballpark, this is a gentleman that has hit more home runs in the last 3 years than anybody. And in the Kingdome here, possibly could pass that 40, approach the 50 home run mark.
All right, the 1992 season underway in earnest as Al Newman steps in. And Randy Johnson deals. It is a strike, says Jim Evans. Al Newman, a member last year of the world champion Minnesota Twins, released and went to Cincinnati and was released during spring training. The Rangers signed him after they finally realized that Julio Franco was not going to be able to answer the bell. So Al Newman in there, basically a utility guy, but he a very valuable member of the World Championship ball club of not only 1991 in Minnesota, but also 1987.
And the thought, too, here, if Bobby Valentine uses Monty Ferris at second base, or possibly, I should more say, Jeff Hewson, if they pitch hit for Jeff Hewson late in the game, then Newman can come in defensively.
One thing about Al Newman, as we saw in his playing days at Minnesota, he's able to play both or all 3 positions on the infield, second, short, and third. Ground ball foul outside Dave Oliver, and the count remains a ball and 2 strikes. So that gives the Rangers a little more versatility. And a guy being a switch hitter can do a lot of things.
And you can really say that this is really an extended spring training for Al Newman and possibly Monty Ferris. Both of them still will be taken a look at by Bobby Valentine while Franco is on the DL. And Bobby Valentine will have to make the decision before too long exactly who's going to benefit the club most.
So the count remaining a ball and 2 strikes. Al Newman leading things off against 6'10" Randy Johnson, 13-game winner in 1991. Check swing. Randy Johnson starts off his season by recording a strikeout.
So both pitchers tonight have one thing in common. If they get ahead in the count, they can use their fastball out of the strike zone. Right here, very powerful fastball you see up and out of the strike zone.
Now, bottom of the first inning, it's time now for the Seattle Mariner lineup, and it's brought to you by the good folks at 7-Eleven Citgo. Harold Reynolds, the second baseman, leads off. Then it's Edgar Martinez, the third baseman, and Ken Griffey, who plays in center. Cleanup hitter, newest Mariner, Kevin Mitchell. He's in left field. Then first baseman, Pete O'Brien, batting 5th. Jay Buhner's in right. The DH is Tino Martinez. David Valley, the catcher, bats 8th, and Omar Vizquel, the shortstop, hits 9th.
And defensively for Bobby Valentine in the outfield, left to right, Ferris, Gonzalez, Sierra. Third to first, Palmer, Thon, Newman, Palmeiro. Behind the plate, Rodriguez, and on the mound, Tex, Nolan Ryan. Nolan, outstanding numbers last year, ERA just under 3. An unbelievable 102 hits given up in 173 innings of work. Great numbers we mentioned earlier, the toughest guy in the American League to hit last year. And those numbers evident of that. Important for Ryan early on here will be really, again, establishing the fastball and getting that curveball over.
And Harold Reynolds with those 1991 stats starts things off by looking at strike one. Harold Reynolds back in 1989 got a base hit to lead the ball game off against Nolan Ryan. Nolan then proceeded to not give up the hit the rest of the way as the 11th career one-hitter. Dickie Thon, his first in-season play for the Rangers, handles it flawlessly, and there's one out. Well, Dickie Thon gets the first chance in 1992 and takes care of that. And before him, Edgar Martinez stands in. Let's take 5 seconds for station identification. This is the Texas Rangers Baseball Network.
You're watching Texas Rangers Baseball on KTVT Channel 11, Fort Worth, Dallas.
Welcome back to opening night 1992. Nolan Ryan on the mound for the Texas Rangers. One gone in the bottom of the first, a scoreless ball game. Edgar Martinez, an outstanding 1991 season, standing in. Ryan's first pitch is ball one. Many predict that Edgar Martinez will be a 200-plus hit man for the Mariners this year and for many years to come. Steady improvement from a pretty good base. Good strike to the inside corner. It's 1 ball and 1 strike.
A real gamer. Basically a guy that has improved each season, and now he can settle in the number 2 spot. They've tried to make him a number 4 hitter at times, sometimes number 5. Trying to fill that need of a cleanup hitter that Seattle Mariners had, but this guy can go to all fields. And the type of number 2 hitter that you like to see. Handles the bat very well. He has a good eye, hits for a high average. Move runners around.
Yeah, he had 167 hits last year. You saw that 14 of them were home runs. He drove in 52. This is 4th season at the major league level. Probably the closest type hitter that the Mariners have to Julio Franco, last year's American League batting champion, in that he sprays the ball around and has the ability to hit the ball sharply the other way. Ryan with the 1-2 offering. Up high, and it's 2-2.
We discussed about the Seattle Mariner ball club coming into their own offensively. Martinez, Griffey, Buhner, all having their best years offensively last season. Pete O'Brien coming back and having his best in quite a few years. Now all of a sudden you add Kevin Mitchell to that formula along with Tino Martinez, and this club ends up being a pretty good offensive club.
Nolan missing up high with the fastball. 3-2 now, and Nolan trying not to get Martinez aboard because Ken Griffey Jr. is next, and the heart of the Mariner order is beefed up a bit. No chance there for Edgar Martinez. The Express about knee-high on the inner part of the plate. That is strikeout number 1 and number 5,512.
A great movement on this ball coming in on him, and Martinez, who can inside out a pitch very well, tried to use his hands with that pitch and couldn't catch up to it.
That's not a normal pitch that you can inside out.
No, it is not, especially when, you know, it's really digging in on you. You know, a ball that's thrown straight, you can foul it off or even get a piece of it, but with it cutting in on your hands, Ryan able to get a ball by him.
So Ken Griffey Jr., an outstanding .327 hitter last year. It's a high fly ball in the smoke to right field. Ruben Sierra has it under control. I don't see it, but it's in Ruben's glove, and that will do it. So Nolan Ryan, like his counterpart, Randy Johnson, works a 1-2-3 first frame. We finished 1 from Seattle, no score.
Back in Seattle as we enter the top of the second inning of scoreless ball, and it's time for our Goodies Home Run Jackpot inning, brought to you by Goodies Headache Powder. And a good inning it is for our Goodies contestants tonight. The middle of the order here in the second, Sierra, Downing, and Palmer will come to slug away in hopes of helping to get our first contestants some money tonight. And how to enter? Look on the board. You'll just send your name, address, and phone number on a 3x5 to Goodies $10,000 home run jackpot. KTVT, Post Office Box 1751, Fort Worth, Texas 76113. And Ruben Sierra will be leading off the second, and he'll be hitting for Rebecca Dunlap of Greenville, Texas.
are real pleased to have the folks at Goody's Headache Powder back with us as a sponsor. $500 as we start off the 92 season. They have been very loyal Ranger sponsors for these many years, and we appreciate it. And so do the folks who have benefited from Ranger home runs in the Goody's inning. Ruben Sierra takes strike one. Ruben coming off a great 1991 season. Another. This is sixth opening day assignment for the Rangers. 5.5 years. Ruben Sierra sneaking up on leadership in many offensive categories for career statistics in the Ranger organization. Johnson gets a fastball and he rounds the short. Distel throws out Sierra. One gone in the Rangers' second.
And while we have a moment, we'd like to remind you this copyrighted broadcast is presented by authority of the Texas Rangers. Any reuse of the pictures and accounts without the written consent of the Rangers and Gaylord Broadcasting is prohibited. And with one out here in the second, Brian Downing will be hitting for Bernice Palmer of Princeton, Texas.
Yes, you folks have forgotten in the offseason. Goody's Headache Powder brings you $500 to start off with, and if there is no home run hit in this inning, it will increase by $100 for tomorrow night, and so on and so forth. We've given away as much as, I think the top was $4,000.
A lot.
A lot, yes. Enough for several lunches for most people. How many of you got? Brian Downing, who went to Bobby Valentine, said, Skip, I think I could help the Buck Club more not being your leadoff hitter for a while. I'm not real pleased with my legs and how good they feel at this time. He said that may change as I get things going, but right now I think I'm better suited to hitting down in the order, and Bobby Valentine, respecting the 41-year-old's wishes, has him hitting fifth. There's a good pitch for a strike. It's 2-2. Bobby Valentine had one of the most relaxing spring trainings, and I don't mean from a standpoint of sitting around doing nothing. I mean from a standpoint of being confident guys were getting their work done under the guidance of all his coaches, and he more or less stood back and oversaw things, which was quite a change because Bobby likes to really get involved in day-to-day operations.
And one of those springs that really you consider a very hands-off spring training of any of the springs that Bobby Valentine has been with the Rangers. Very evident all spring. The guy is very favorable and had a great attitude.
2 balls, 2 strikes to count to Brian Downing. 1 out in the top of the second. Breaking ball called strike 3. Downing knew it. Well, Randy Johnson with that backdoor breaking ball records his 3rd strikeout.
Johnson got behind and he just kind of fought his way back. And the real dirty pitch right here, boy. After establishing a fastball inside a good fastball, he brings in the backdoor breaking ball.
So 2 gone, and Dean Palmer, Ranger 3rd baseman. And the breaking ball down low. Who's Dean hitting for?
And Dean will be hitting for Terry Bilbo of Arlington.
Terry, let's see if Dean can get you and himself off to a great start in 92. Right now he's down in the count, no balls and 2 strikes. To make that 1-1, excuse me. Dean Palmer, major league leading totals in home runs.
Very typical of most of the hitters in this ball game tonight. There were not too many players on either club that had a bad spring. In some way it was favorable, whether it was an average, it was home runs or RBIs. And take a look at the Rangers. Could have had in the lineup tonight 7 guys in double figures in RBIs for the spring, and the other 2 with 9.
Very productive spring, and I think Dean Palmer might like to have one more shot at that fastball about thigh high. That is right down in his wheelhouse, and Randy Johnson fortunate to get that ball back. 2-2 the count. Just missed. Tried that backdoor again. This time found it closed, and the count runs full. So Palmer trying to get something going here in the second. He is the number 6 hitter. He'll be followed by the newest Ranger, or the newest Ranger shortstop, Dickie Thun. And the payoff pitch from the big left-hander. He's swinging. Breaking ball. That is strikeout number 4 For Johnson, Rangers with nothing going in the second, an inning and a half in the books. We are scoreless, and now these messages from 7-Eleven Citgo. The Mariners will send up the middle third of their order, and here is a large part of it. Kevin Mitchell. Kevin Mitchell, the MVP in 1989 in the National League with the San Francisco Giants. And Nolan Ryan's first pitch to him, the breaking ball, makes it 1-0. Ryan and Mitchell, no strangers to each other. Mitchell facing Nolan when he was over with the Astros, when Nolan was over there. Kevin Mitchell getting time in with San Diego and San Francisco, the National League. Fastball fouled back. Boy, that is power against power. Kevin Mitchell coming unglued.
They watch actually cocking the gun right there, the hands going back. The swung hard, couldn't keep his balance. And normally, I think the Griff enjoys the swing, and that was Mitchell. The bow tie pitch is something I wouldn't be surprised to see.
Yeah, Nolan threw in that little changeup. 1 ball and 2 strikes. Kevin Mitchell, the numbers you saw last year, down in RBI production, but 27 home runs. Still had a decent .256 batting mark for the Giants. Well, he was surrounded by 2 pretty good guys. Will Clark in front of him. Matt Williams behind him. 1-2 pitch from Ryan. Nolan tried to get that fastball inside and was fouled off. That's one thing you have to wonder about with Kevin Mitchell in this lineup. Kevin Mitchell will protect Ken Griffey Jr. better, but who's going to protect Kevin Mitchell? That's the one thing the Mariners have to come up with. And if Jay Buhner is able to have the kind of year they're talking about, he may be the one that eventually steps in there.
And possibly right now, the left-hander Pete O'Brien is in that position. A lot of times you'll see the opposite hitter behind a slugger like Mitchell.
Line shot there down the left field line into the corner. Monty Ferris playing the care of Mitchell, steaming into second with the first base hit of the night. A ringing double down the left field line.
So Ryan basically has established his fastball early here. He seemed to be consistent, but yet the curveball still having a little bit of problems. This one he just hung on the inside part of the plate. And Mitchell getting his arms out, drilled it down that left field line. And something a power hitter will do to start hitting off. You drive a ball, you get yourself into scoring position. Now you have a left-handed batter up, nobody out, and you're at second base.
And we're going to have an appeal here that Mitchell might have missed first base. Nolan pointing over there. Rafael Palmeiro standing right at the bag. So Nolan will put the ball back in play by coming to a stretch position on the mound, then backing off and throwing over to first, asking the first base umpire, Larry McCoy, for an appeal. And he says no. Kevin Mitchell did get a piece of the bag, so the appeal denied.
Because I realize this is the American League, and I've been in the National League for a while. I know that you still have to touch every base. Rules are the same over here.
Well, former Ranger Pete O'Brien, after battling through a very difficult spring, standing up there. Pete last year stopped a string of declining statistical years. Had 17 home runs, but 88 for the 91 Mariners. Mariners, of course, found themselves having 3 first basemen, and they ended up letting Alvin Davis head down south to the California Angels. Pete O'Brien will play first base most of the time, with another first baseman, Tino Martinez, becoming the nearly regular DH.
And I really think Bill Plummer would mind having either one of them at first base. Both seemed, of course, we know O'Brien's a good defensive player, and the early writings about Martinez is that he has good hands.
Ryan, a check of Mitchell. Man, O'Brien takes high and away. It's 2-0. Pete O'Brien, this spring, struggled in 19 ball games. Ended up hitting 179. Had just 10 hits in 56 trips to the plate, a home run, and 6 driven in. Good fastball. It's 2-1. Well, our congratulations to Duke University, 71-51, as they defeat the Fab Five from Michigan in the Final Four championship. So Duke, a repeat. Mike Krzyzewski really doing a job at Duke. And for those folks that were watching that Final Four championship, welcome to the Kingdome as we have a scoreless ball game here in the bottom of the second inning. Opening night of 1992. Nolan Ryan to Pete O'Brien. Line drive, well hit to right, but hooking foul. Pete O'Brien turning on that inside fastball that was up about letter I. Pete, of course, with a runner at second and nobody out, trying to get the runner over, but Kevin Mitchell staying there on the foul ball. Pete O'Brien was thinking more of getting both of them home with that shot. The count evens now at 2-2. Mariners with one hit in the ball game. That's the leadoff double to left by Mitchell. And that will do the job. Al Newman fields the hopper by O'Brien, throws him out, and on to third goes Kevin Mitchell. Oh, one out, runner at third. Jay Buhner coming up.
And while we have a moment, we'd like to remind you of a special upcoming event that Monday, April 13th, the Rangers will host the California Angels in the 92 home opener. All fans 21 and older will receive a 92 Texas Rangers magnetic schedule. Tickets are for that opening night are available at any Rainbow Ticketmaster outlet or at the Rangers ticket office. That's the home opener April 13th with the Angels and the Rangers taking on in that contest. For ticket information, 817-273-5100.
Nolan Ryan to Jay Buhner, misses inside, ball one. Jay Buhner, as you'll notice, 27 home runs last year. Batting mark of 244, 117 strikeouts also. But the Mariners, I would think, would be glad to have that kind of home run ratio, even though the strikeouts are going to remain high for Buhner. 1 ball, 1 strike. Not bad having a guy like this hitting 6th in your order.
Really a guy, too, that's beginning to come into his own. He's been injured a lot in the past. Last year he played in his most games so far in his career and came up with some big numbers, even though his at-bats were still not a full season caliber, about 2/3 of a year. But you figure you take a full season for this guy, you know, possibly you're looking at 30, 35 home runs and 100 and some RBIs. But it gives a real good flow to the batting order. Really, 1 through 7, the Mariners are tough. And behind Buhner is a left-hander, Tino Martinez, who's got a great swing. So it's very strong at the top, Mitchell in the middle, little righty-lefty action after that.
Mariners a very definitely improved offensive ball club. Well, all tied up on that inside fastball, and Buhner fights it off foul on out of play. 2-2.
Yeah, it's really a matchup tonight, too, that none of the hitters have been successful against the opposing pitcher. Really, Sierra the most successful against Johnson, and Griffey and Valley the most against Ryan.
Nolan working from the stretch. Checks Mitchell at third. Fly ball well hit left center field. Ferris back on the edge of the warning track. Makes the catch. Mitchell tagging from third and will score as the Mariners take a 1-0 lead. Jay Buhner with the sacrifice fly against Nolan Ryan. And Nolan not at all happy with himself about that pitch. Gave him something, gave Buhner something. He could hit in the air, and he had a 2-2 count on him.
Buhner likes to get his arms extended, and that was not in the location that Ryan wanted it. You take a look at the pitch. Breaking pitch again, hanging up in the strike zone, and with the power of Buhner, got his hands out and lifted it to the outfield.
That's basically the same pitch that Kevin Mitchell began the inning by doubling down the left field line on. So Nolan has not had command of that curveball yet. Here's the man who scored the run, Kevin Mitchell. Jay Buhner just walking by him. 1-0 Seattle. Two gone, Tino Martinez. Good-looking young hitter at the plate. Round ball off the end of the bat. There's Al Newman. And the side retired for the Mariners. A run on a hit. Nobody left. 2 innings in the books. 1-0 Seattle. Before we go to the third inning, here's tonight's American League scoreboard brought to you by 7-Eleven Citgo. Yeah, the opening day of the 92 season found the world champions winning. They downed Milwaukee 4-2. Kirby Puckett had a home run in that ball game. Baltimore behind Rick Sutcliffe, shutting out Cleveland on 5 hits by Sutcliffe. Or a 5-hitter by Sutcliffe, 2-0. The final, Toronto 4-2, as the former Tiger Jack Morris had a brilliant ball game, limited his former teammates. 5 base hits, 4-2 the final there. Cecil Fielder had a home run in the 9th inning off of Jack Morris to break up a shutout bid. Jack Morris setting a record with his 13th consecutive opening day assignment. Mariners on top 1-0, and Dickie Thon, first ball swinging, begins the third by flying to the right fielder, Jay Buhner. 1 pitch, 1 out.
There was probably no one person that affected the outcome of the American League last year more than Jack Morris. In fact, he went from Detroit to Minnesota. Had that not occurred, probably Detroit would have been in the playoffs against Chicago or Texas instead of Minnesota. And now making a big impression in Toronto. He's a tough guy. Great pitcher.
Throwing better now than he did 3-4 years ago. Threw the ball well today, it looked like. Monty Ferris, who basically hit his way onto the Ranger Ball Club, led baseball in several categories, most notably total bases, slugging percentage. Had a great spring. 389, takes a pitch inside. Monty showing that kind of bat that really wouldn't allow Bobby Valentine to keep him off the Major League roster. And he'll get plenty of playing time at second base in the absence of Julio Franco. 1-1 the count as Johnson comes back to the plate.
Well, for years when you think about the Los Angeles Dodgers, a lot of times you think of pitching. For years, the Minnesota Twins brought up a lot of good hitters and still doing that. I think the Rangers are really getting a reputation for their young hitters. Outstanding youngsters coming in that can swing a bat. Ferris, the latest.
2-2. You know, watching Monty Ferris, and the fans, if you get a chance to come out early and watch batting practice at Arlington Stadium, or if you join the Rangers on the road, watch these young guys hit, how the ball jumps off their bat. They hit line drives that seem to get a second wind about 290 or 300 feet from home plate. Just keep on carrying.
Well, the one thing special about them, all of them have quick bats, really outstanding hands, and something that you can notice at the Little League level. That really, you either got it or you don't. Only a few things you can make better. You can teach a guy to hit a breaking ball, as Ferris takes that and heads to first.
Randy Johnson with a walk to go along with his 4 strikeouts. That's the first base runner by the Rangers tonight. And the number 9 hitter, Ivan Rodriguez, coming up. And a quick reminder, our friends in Austin have asked us to let you know that they don't want you to mess with Texas this spring. Don't mess with Texas.
And talking about youngsters with quick hands and a good bat, I'm sure Rodriguez was one of those guys at the age of 9 or 10 that had a good hands also.
Ball 1 as Randy Johnson has momentarily lost command of the strike zone. Fudge out, taking a look down to third base coach Dave Oliver. He's the number 9 hitter, is Ivan Rodriguez in this Ranger order. Monty Ferris at first with 1 out here in the 3rd inning. 2-0. And David Valley is going to go out and have a little chat with the big left-hander right now. This is the first time tonight that Randy Johnson has had to throw from the stretch, and many times, especially with a big, tall guy, the first time they have to work from the stretch, they have a little bit of mechanical trouble, a little inconsistency. So it'll be interesting to see if the Rangers can capitalize on this particular chance by Johnson. Right down Broadway, 2-1.
The pitching coach Dan Worthen worked with Johnson in the spring on really getting his mechanics lined up, trying to tell him you don't have to grunt like Ryan does when you throw your fastball. You don't have to overthrow the ball.
Out of play down the right field line, and he comes back to even the count. 2 balls, 2 strikes. Boy, it's 6-10. If you can use leverage to your advantage, you got to be able to throw the ball from here to Vancouver. That's quite a ways for folks that are not familiar with where we are. Johnson, a check of Ferris. He has a modest lead at first. Now Johnson will back off the rubber. Monty Ferris, the first Ranger base runner of the night. He's at first after a one-out walk. Count of 2 balls and 2 strikes to Ivan Rodriguez. Ground ball. Vizquel goes to second. They get one. Reynolds turns it. Well done on the double play. 6-4-3. Rangers end up sending 3 to the plate, and they're gone. 2.5 in the books. 1-0 Seattle. Now here's the Southwest Airlines scoring summary of tonight's ball game. Very brief and in the favor of the wrong team as far as the Rangers are concerned. Kevin Mitchell scored on the sacrifice fly by Jay Buhner in the bottom of the second. That is all the scoring there has been. 1-0 Seattle as we go to the bottom of inning number 3. Nolan Ryan, who has allowed just 1 hit, has not walked a hitter and struck out 1, will face David Valley, Omar Vizquel, and Harold Reynolds. David Valley, who, if it had not been for a pretty good second half with the bat, would have really struggled in the offseason to maintain his sanity. He's hitting about $115 first half of the season and came on to hit .261 the last half.
And one of the things Rodriguez will find out about Valley is the bad backswing that Dave has. And he really got Pudge on the arm.
Danny Wheat, the Rangers trainer, out there to take a look, and the way Pudge is holding that glove, that does not look good. Wristband and all, that doesn't stop the force of that bat. Pudge pointing to the back of his left hand. It doesn't take long for you to find out who has that kind of backswing, does it, as a catcher?
Well, if it happens more than once, you shouldn't be catching. Take a look, a good high fastball that Valley unloaded on. The hand will come off the bat, and boom, right on, looks like across the elbow. Take a look from this angle.
Ouch. Pudge back there to see if he can take a couple of pitches maybe and receive that Ryan fastball. Yeah, he's not even going to bother. Okay, bring it on in there. I'm all right.
Maybe all right now. We'll have to hurt.
Yeah.
Get some padding.
We'll see what happens later on this evening and tomorrow with that, though. And the pitch in for a strike. It's 0-2. Probably have a grievance filed in the Catchers Association with that.
You're not supposed to do it to another catcher.
No.
That's supposed to hold off. Try another position player.
Ryan with the 0-2 pitch. See you later. Pudge fired one down to first, and Ryan fired one right on by David Valley. That is strikeout number 2 for the Express. It's time now for tonight's National League scoreboard, brought to you by 7-Eleven Citgo. San Diego spoiling the opener in Cincinnati for the Reds. 4-3 the final in that ball game, and San Francisco pounding the hometown Dodgers 8-1. Pittsburgh shuts out Montreal on 6 hits by given up by Doug Drabeck. 2-0 the final in that ball game. And the Mets coming back against St. Louis. Win the ball game tonight at Busch Stadium 4-2. Bobby Bonilla hit 2 home runs in that contest for the Mets. Vizquel loops one into left. That's the base hit. Monty Ferris fields it, gets it back in, and Vizquel, a 1-out single aboard at first, and the Mariners go back to the top of the order.
Now, Vizquel, very much like an Ozzie Guillen at the bottom of the batting order. Very feisty type hitter. Not the type of hitter Guillen is, but he'll slap the ball. And pretty good production for as little power as he has. He's a good little hitter with men in scoring position. And here he gets himself on base. Ball head was right on the ball.
So Vizquel at first. Harold Reynolds, who grounded to short to begin the game. There goes Vizquel. The pitch is a ball. The throw is dropped by Thorne. Rodriguez got rid of it in a hurry, but the ball looked like it took off toward the shortstop side at second. Don couldn't keep it in the glove, and it will be a stolen base for Vizquel.
Almost got a walking jump, and Ryan didn't even look over there. Rodriguez had to try to hurry his throw. You see it off the line. Normally Rodriguez is right on the base, and whenever he is erratic, it's usually because he has to hurry his throw to second.
So Vizquel, his first stolen base this year, he had 7 in all of 1991. He's going to third, and the bunt is fouled off. Harold Reynolds a little upset with himself. I think he was just trying to block the vision of Pudge Rodriguez and got the bat in the way.
And that's exactly it. Here you try to distract the catcher, especially a left-handed batter. When you've got, as a catcher, you got a clean throw to third base. You try to distract the catcher as much as you can. Put the bat maybe at the eye level that the ball's coming in. He might drop the pitch. They got a little bit on the ball, and the Rangers are lucky there.
Now, with the exception of Harold Reynolds, and I guess you could say Henry Cotto and Greg Briley, not a lot of speed on the ball club last year, but they're trying to be more aggressive this year. Reynolds takes a strike. It's 1-2.
Well, basically, Bill Plummer, a National Leaguer by heart, and of course, the National League plays a much more aggressive ball game. And of course, again, the best time to really steal third is right after you've stolen second.
1 ball, 2 strikes. Nolan paying a little more attention to Vizquel at second now. Check swing, foul. No, Harold Reynolds hanging tough. It's Pudge Rodriguez, and one of the things I think that might have precipitated Vizquel's attempts to steal, Rodriguez, of course, getting hit on that glove hand. Maybe Plummer thinking, hey, this guy might be hurt a little bit. Let's go ahead and take advantage of and see how he reacts. Reynolds a little looping pop-up, shallow left field. There's Dickie Thon, and that's out number 2. Kind of like the old thing about kicking a guy when he's down.
Third baseman, number 11.
Too, the thing about Ryan, he's not very quick to the plate, and if you happen to catch a curveball and he's trying to throw one of his breakers, it's really almost impossible to try to throw a runner out.
2 outs. Vizquel at second, and Edgar Martinez, who was a strikeout victim in the first, stands in. Edgar Martinez on the spring hit .309. Did not have a home run, but drove in 5, and he looks at a breaking pitch for strike 1. The Mariners this spring hit .285. They scored 154 runs, which was the same number as the Rangers scored. Large difference, though, they gave up 151. That compares to 129 given up by Texas.
And the Seattle club will really have a flip-flop, I think, this year of what we saw last. Solid pitching with inconsistent hitting. And all of a sudden this year they're going to be an offensive threat with doubts in their staff. Bill Plummer having to try to put this team together, a young pitching staff, and build on that.
Ryan, a check of second, the 0-2 pitch. Fastball hit high in the air and foul. That will be out of play down the left field line. Dean Palmer over to take a look, but it's well back in the seats.
We might discuss that last pitch here. Martinez 0-2 count. A little bit of the thinking that goes on when he's facing Ryan. 0-2 and anticipated the fastball inside. A sign of a good hitter. You can anticipate a pitch, you get it, and you hit it. That one just a little bit inside. You see the fastball now is going to come in. He's anticipating it. There's only one way you can get the bat out on that fastball, and that's to know it's coming. And 0-2 is pretty darn risky to be thinking about that.
Rodriguez with the signs, and Nolan has the 1-1. Fastball just off the outside corner. And I mean just off the outside corner. Jim Evans, the home plate umpire,
said not. No way.
One Texan maybe squeezing the other just a bit. Ooh.
Wow. Well, 300 hitters get it, but usually not against Ryan. Ryan normally, the elder statesman, gets the benefit of the doubt.
Nolan with that stare into home plate momentarily, just to let Jim Evans know that he wasn't real thrilled with the call. Now the 1-2 pitch. Breaking ball. Check swing foul. Rolling down the first base side.
You know, too, a good example of this at bat of a good hitter able to foul a nasty pitch off. Outstanding curveball, followed previously to a fastball, mixing the pitches up. All of a sudden drops that curve, and Martinez able to just get enough to foul it, foul territory.
Yeah, put it in foul territory. A bad hitter hits a little weak ground ball to second if he makes contact. Maybe.
I foul tipped it into the catcher's glove for an out.
Omar Vizquel at second. He had a 1-out single and stole second base. He's there now with 2 outs and a count of 1 ball and 2 strikes on Martinez. Got him swinging. Second time Edgar Martinez gone on strikes. Mariners, no runs a hit, 1 left, 3 in the books, and it's still the Mariners on top by 1. 3 innings in the books from Seattle, and right now, before we go to the 4th, it's time for a 7-11 Citgo baseball update. And we mentioned that ball game in Detroit this afternoon. Toronto's Jack Morris, with his 13th consecutive opening day start, set a new Major League record in that category. Jack got the win as the Blue Jays came out, held on, really, for a 4-2 victory over the Tigers. Quite a ball game, boy. Jack Morris with a complete game and got his 199th career victory.
Yeah, a couple of new Toronto Blue Jays. Dave Winfield, I believe, chipping in for 3 hits. And he should add a lot to that team offensively, which, because of their pitching, got where they were last year. And their offense will be better with Winfield there.
Well, speaking of offense, the top of the Ranger offense here to face Randy Johnson in the 4th inning. Rangers have sent the minimum number of hitters to the plate. They've had just 1 base runner. Monty Ferris walked and was erased on a double play. Al Newman, a strikeout victim, his first trip to the plate. Fouls it back. It's 1-1.
Don't imagine after tonight's ball game you're going to see Reimer the rest of the matchup here. Probably Ferris at second base, Reimer in left. And you may never see this lineup again the rest of the season. Interesting lineup with Gonzalez sitting at the 3rd spot.
Randy Johnson with a 2-1 pitch to Al Newman. Popped up, foul territory, 3rd base side. Edgar Martinez near the warning track and on the warning track makes the catch for out number 1. Well, you remember 2 years ago led the Rangers in hitting percentage against left-handers, but that fell off last year a bit. Part of it due, as Rafael told us in spring training, to him trying to do a few more things, pulling the ball, turning on it for power against left-handers, instead of how he approached it the year before, trying to hit everything the other way. So that made the average tail off a bit, but he was more productive in the power categories against left-handers. Johnson with a 2-1 pitch. Again, a little pop-up. This one a fairly easy play for Vizquel. That's out number 2.
You know, the consistency through the middle of the order by the Rangers. You look at Palmeiro, Sierra, and, of course, Franco on the DL. But those guys hitting basically in 3/4 of every ball game. And the way that breaks down during the course of the season, at least 2 of them are getting hits every night. And every 4th night, all 3 of them are hitting. And when you look at that kind of consistency, that's why the Rangers are able to put up big numbers.
Is that why it looked like some games that they started with Palmeiro and Franco on base?
That's exactly right.
Before the first pitch. I mean, they just put them out there and said, okay, here, we won't waste any time. You guys go out and stand at 1st and 2nd or 2nd and 3rd, whatever you think you do. Juan Gonzalez called out on strikes back in the 1st. Rangers still without a hit. 2 outs in the 4th. Out of play behind home plate. It's 1-1.
It's a lineup that's unique from the standpoint that they're good average hitters with good power. Very seldom do you find a whole team that hits for a high average. and yet can hit the long ball. They're good fastball hitters. They handle the breaking pitch. And normally they handle both parts of the plate, inside and out.
Johnson to Gonzalez. And he misses with the breaking pitch. 2-1 now. Juan Gonzalez, 102 RBI last year. Will go along with his team leading 27 home runs. Randy Johnson threw it hard, but threw it high. 3-1. So Juan Gonzalez trying to get aboard with 2 outs. If he does, it will give Ruben Sierra a shot at the Mariner left-hander. Johnson back to the plate. Little looper left center field. That's going to fall for a base hit. Over to cut it off, Mitchell. A big turn at first by Gonzalez, who now has to scamper back to first. So the Rangers' first base hit of the night. Juan Gonzalez lining one into left center, a 2-out single, and Ruben Sierra will come up.
We just mentioned the coverage that the Rangers have, and here Gonzalez using good hands on the inside part. That might have been off the inside half of the plate, and yet able to muscle the ball out there. Mitchell with pretty good hustle, and Gonzalez at first.
Oh, Ruben Sierra up there. Ruben grounded to short his first time to the plate, and the pitch up high, ball 1. Mentioned the numbers that Ruben Sierra has against Randy Johnson. 480 coming into this ballgame, 12 out of 25, and in his career, Ruben Sierra has been a .304 hitter against Mariner pitching overall. Ruben, the switch hitter, up there from the right side against the left-hander Randy Johnson. 1-0 pitch. Line shot toward the gap in left center, and that's going to plug the gap all the way to the wall. Mitchell cuts it off. Being waved around third is Gonzalez. Here comes Vizquel's throw. It is not in time. And on to third goes Sierra with the RBI double. We are tied at 1. Maybe the most exciting play in baseball. The relay on a shot to the gap.
You see Sierra's big leg kick is really his power kick. Picks that up in the air, drives the ball in there. Mitchell will get the ball off the ball very well. And it's good relay. It's Vizquel's throw to the plate that's up the line a little bit. But a good job by Dave Oliver in sending Gonzalez with 2 outs. Gonzalez, a nice slide going to the inside and really saved the run.
Well, the Rangers come back with their first 2 base hits of the night. They put them together, a single and a double. Juan Gonzalez scoring from first on the Ruben Sierra RBI 2-bagger. Now Brian Downing up there.
Well, there's where the outs play a part in there. Had there been just 1 out, might not have sent Gonzalez. But with 2 outs, you go ahead and send him. Yeah, one of the best, if not the best, third base coaches I think the Rangers have ever had. Very consistent, very solid at third.
Downing shoots one right. Jay Buhner in a few steps, and that will do it. Rangers, however, tie it. They get a run on 2 hits and leave 1. 3.5 innings have gone by. The Rangers won, Seattle won. And now these messages from 7-Eleven Citgo.
Game time is
Texas Rangers Baseball is brought to you by Dr. Pepper, just what the doctor ordered. By Bismarck, official business product supplier to the Texas Rangers. And by Just Brakes, just what you need.
Ken Griffey leading things off in the bottom of the 4th. A 1-1 ball game now on the 1-0 pitch from Nolan Ryan. Griffey, a towering pop foul that will reach the seats over the Mariner dugout. Now, one of the most exciting plays in baseball, the relay throw on a man trying to score from first on a double.
We see a little short hop to Vizquel and his throw coming up the line. A lot of times with the catcher, you can do 1 of 2 things. You can go right into the line and try to short hop it, The collision with the runner. Valley going in to the outside to catch it.
Juan Gonzalez with a very good slide to the inside part of home plate. And a pitch to Griffey is strike 2. A ball and 2 strikes.
And really, the runner has the advantage in that situation. He can see what the catcher's going to do, and you just react to where the catcher goes. He goes to the outside, you go inside.
Griffey flying to right field back in the first inning. Fastball makes him jackknife out of the way. 2-2.
We possibly missed seeing Griffey hit one about 20 rows deep into the upper deck in his first at bat. Ryan trying to keep the ball up on him. Griffey, being a low ball hitter, just missed a pitch. Drove it deep to right. And Griffey Sr. in his first opener outside of the uniform, doing the little TV work for the Mariners.
And David Niehaus over there in the Mariner TV booth, televising the home opener, which I believe is the first for the Seattle Ball Club. Now the payoff pitch from Ryan. Fastball fouled back over our head. Griffey trying to begin the Mariner fourth by getting aboard Kevin Mitchell, who has one of the 2 Mariner hits in the on-deck circle. No, he is not a switch hitter. He is just limbering up. He's got a lot to limber up. He's a big man. Again, the 3-2 pitch. Outside, ball 4. That's the first walk issued by Ryan, and that's how the fourth begins for Seattle. Right, Nolan trying to throw that changeup to Griffey on a 3-2 count.
Number 7,
and it slip out of his hand just a bit.
So the first base on ball tonight, of course, the constant theme through spring training was the control the pitchers had. Much better. The 2-walk rule basically planting the thought that if you're going to walk guys, you're going to get hit and you're going to get hurt. Ryan having a little bit of trouble with his control in the spring, just with his first walk here tonight.
There goes Griffey, and the pitch is fouled off on the first base side. Got to think that was a run and hit. Griffey getting the advantage trying to run, but I don't think you put a hit and run on with Kevin Mitchell up there.
No, you don't. With a guy that can put the ball out of the ballpark, you let him go ahead and swing. If he gets a good pitch, let him nail it. When you get a runner like Griffey who's got good speed, Martinez looking into the dugout for the sign again. Give to Griffey. But this is a club. You take Ryan because he was so difficult to hit last year. You get a guy at first base with good speed against a pitcher that has a big leg kick. You try to get as many guys to second as you can, even though you've got a catcher like Rodriguez behind the plate.
And Mitchell hacking at that high fastball. Back out of play. 0-2.
So several ingredients. Good speed at first. A big leg kick. And a tough pitcher to hit on the mound. And when it ends up happening, you get runner at first distracts Ryan just enough where you hang a pitch to Mitchell. He plants it somewhere 4 or 5 rows deep in the outfield.
0-2. And Griffey Jr., the runner at first, with a pretty good lead. Ryan goes that way, and Griffey back. I would think after 25 full years in the major league, it's pretty difficult to distract Nolan Ryan too often. I mean, he has his concentration pretty well set on what he wants to do. That may be one reason why he doesn't hold runners on very well. Long as the big leg kick. Ryan against set. Fly ball, left center field over there. And Mahi Ferris to make the catch, and Griffey back to first. So Mitchell, on the inside out that ball, hit it to left, and that's out number 1.
Number 12, Pete O'Brien.
You mentioned Ryan throwing over to first, being distracted. I think you're right. He is a guy that I think it just goes right after the hitter. In fact, in comparison, last year had 19 pickoff attempts. Look at the most, Charlie Huff at 317. Yeah. So Ryan does not throw over or worry too much about the runner at first.
Pete O'Brien, a ground out. His first time to the plate. That ground out very important, though, as it moved Kevin Mitchell to third base with 1 out. And he scored from there on Jay Buhner's fly ball. Ken Griffey at first after a leadoff walk. And Ryan ready. Long check, and the pitch to O'Brien is strike 1. Pete O'Brien had a Mariner fielding record for first baseman last year. Always had that good glove on first base. And we mentioned the offensive numbers improved also.
I believe only 3 left-handed batters in Ranger history that hit over 20 home runs, all 3 of them in the ballpark tonight. Palmeiro at first, Reimer in the dugout, and O'Brien at the plate here. Pretty good left-handed batters here that can stick the ball and have for the Rangers. You might look at it, O'Brien did it at a time where basically they didn't have the big partition in Arlington Stadium, which has been a big help for hitters generally. Because of that, the wind blowing out for the most part.
Nolan trying to find a baseball he can work with. O'Brien waiting at the plate. 0-1 the count. Now Nolan set. Pitch out, and Griffey not going anywhere. Boy, you give Pudge Rodriguez a pitch out to work with. I don't care who's running from first. You might as well stop and just wait for somebody to tag you. No sense running all the way to second. The 1-1 delivery. There goes Griffey. The pitch swung on and missed. The throw, and they got it. Even though the throw was high, Rodriguez, with that cannon, shoots down Ken Griffey.
Griffey with a good jump, but Rodriguez got a good ball to handle. You see it up in the strike zone, and you can unload on that, even though the ball a little bit to the left side. And a nice tag by Dickie Thon. He unloads it. Anytime you throw to second base, you like to have it straight. That ball thrown right on the line.
Ryan's 1-2 pitch. Just off the outside corner right here. Let's take 5 seconds for station identification. This is the Texas Rangers Baseball Network.
You're watching Texas Rangers Baseball on KTVT Channel 11, Fort Worth, Dallas.
Nolan Ryan to Pete O'Brien. 2-2 delivery is fouled back and out of play into the upper deck. So on the year, Bobby Valentine has seen his young catcher, Pudge Rodriguez, go 1 out of 2, which is just about what he did all of 1991. Shot down just shy of 50% of potential base stealers. He was 3rd in the major leagues for catchers who had that many attempts. The 2-2 pitch. O'Brien lofts a fly ball, shallow right field. Newman backing out, Sierra coming on, and Ruben Sierra takes charge, puts it away. So the Mariners have a walk, but Griffey caught stealing. They go down in the 4th, and we'll go to the 5th inning. It's a 1-1 game. Welcome back to opening night in 1992 for the Kingdome in Seattle. The Rangers and Mariners tied at 1, a pitcher's duel that is coming off as advertised with Nolan Ryan and Randy Johnson. A lot of strikeouts.
I don't think I've seen Johnson with such command, especially early in the season like this, and early in the count, constantly ahead. Really has thrown the ball hard, even had the Rangers behind. A good fastball hitting team that has not been able to catch up to the heat. And, of course, Nolan Ryan probably not as in command as Johnson has been, but he's been able to get through the innings and getting his breaking ball over more consistently.
5th inning, and Dean Palmer to start things off. Randy Johnson with a breaking ball hanging outside. Palmer, a strikeout victim back in the 2nd inning. As a matter of fact, that's the last man that Randy Johnson has struck out. 2-0. Johnson, talking about tonight's ballgame, said he would still be on a pitch limit, about 110 pitches, 115 pitches. 2-1. And he felt that given what he had been able to do in spring training, and that keep the walks down, the number of pitches down, would probably get him through about 7 innings or so. But his pitch total the last couple of innings has been on the rise just a bit. Dean with a good swing at a high fastball, and that's 2-2. Randy Johnson, the big guy out of the University of Southern California. Had a couple of different left-handers come out of there, Bill Lee and Randy Johnson. No good right-handers, though. No, I should say Tom Seaver.
Well, I don't know if I would want to be considered in that group.
They can pitch. And the payoff pitch to Dean Palmer is fouled in and out of the glove of David Valley, so the count remains full. Dean Palmer trying to begin the Ranger fifth by getting aboard in front of the Rangers shortstop. That's Dickie Thon.
I always kind of considered you a pretty smart guy.
Something changed your mind?
No.
Raised up finally, huh? Ball 4 inside, and Dean Palmer draws the leadoff walk, so Randy Johnson, who has now walked 2. That's the first time he has allowed a leadoff hitter to get aboard. Now, Owens would like to remind you that our next Ranger TV game coming up tomorrow night will be right back here for game number 2 of the 92 season, the Rangers and Seattle. It'll be Kevin Brown and Eric Hansen, and that will have an air time of 9:30 Central Daylight Time. And you will not have a letdown as far as the pitching matchup tomorrow night either. 2 pretty good young right-handers. Breaking ball inside to Thon, and a nice job of blocking that pitch, keeping it in front of him by David Valley.
Well, you're seeing one of the strengths of this Seattle ball club defensively. Say most teams that compete have to be strong up the middle. Dave Valley, very consistent catcher behind the plate, moves well, quick feet, and blocks just about anything gets a glove on.
Randy Johnson goes to first. Johnson now, by the way, we're talking about pitch count, is up to 65. And Nolan Ryan, in contrast, through 4 innings, has thrown 58. So they're about on the same level as far as pitches go. Dickie Thon going after a high fastball with no success. It's 1-1. Dickie Thon, a really aggressive fastball hitter. Up, down, it doesn't matter.
He hasn't seen a fastball he didn't like. Kind of remind himself, I try to keep the ball down there. Johnson let one go out of the strike zone, and we saw very aggressive Thon in spring training. A lot of first ball, fastball hitting, and swung at the first pitch tonight and hit it to right.
There were questions when Dickie Thon was acquired by the Rangers whether he would become the leadoff hitter, and I think that's one of the reasons that we really haven't put him in that position. It's pretty tough to have not necessarily a free swinger, but an aggressive fastball hitting leadoff hitter like that. You'd rather have him take a few more pitches and make a guy work a bit, help the guys behind in the lineup. And that's not to take anything away from Dickie Thon's ability to hit. That's just the kind of hitter he is. Breaking ball, chopped foul. It's still 1-2. That's why Brian Downing for so many years was a good leadoff hitter, because he would work a pitcher. And Brian will tell you that hurt him a lot of times, but he did it because that's what the club needed. He would get himself down in the count, not intentionally, but because he needed to take pitches. On a swing and a miss. And Johnson gets his 5th strikeout of the night.
A good selection of pitches. Prior to that fastball, he'd thrown a curveball just enough to put doubt in Thong's mind exactly what might be coming next, and there threw the fastball right by him.
Oh, the Mariner fans keeping track of the Johnson K's. Randy with 5 on the evening, 1 gone. Palmer still at first, and Monty Ferris, who walked his first trip to the plate, will stand in. One ball, no strikes to count. Monty Ferris is the only true rookie on the Ranger 25-man roster, at least the only rookie as far as qualifying for that status. A ball and a strike.
Another good fastball hitter on this ball club, youngster that can handle the good heat. Had 5 home runs in the spring, as well as Palmer had 6. And I think something you'll see as we get in here into April, into the season, they won't see as many of those fastballs.
That one's cued down to first. O'Brien goes to second. They get 1. That's all they will get, as Johnson didn't get over to cover first base, but they had no chance for a double play on that ball. So a 3-6 force play. Palmer erased. Ferris at first. And the number 9 hitter, Pudge Rodriguez, will stand in. Ivan Rodriguez grounded into a 6-4-3 double play back in the 3rd inning. Top of the 5th inning, the runs are even at 1. The hits are even at 2. And both teams have played flawlessly in the field tonight. 1 ball, no strikes to Pudge. Rodriguez suffering through a difficult spring offensively for the Rangers. 196, but it was a very powerful 196. 3 home runs and 9 RBI. There's a shot down the right field corner. 1 hop off the wall. Buhner over to play the carom. Being held up at 3rd is Ferris, and steaming into 2nd is Ivan Rodriguez. That ball just got down in the corner too quickly for Dave Oliver, even with 2 outs, to try and score Monty Ferris.
Second baseman, Al Newman.
Yeah, possibly here in the 5th inning, Johnson, not quite the fastball he had a little bit earlier. This one, look at the height of it, about belt buckle, and Rodriguez head right on that pitch, went with it real well, and down into that line.
Dan Worthen, the pitching coach, out to have a chat with Randy Johnson and David Valley. Runners at 2nd and 3rd with 2 outs for the Rangers in the top of the order. Coming up, Worthen out to probably give Randy Johnson just a breather. Hey, okay, slow things down. You've got 2 outs. You also have first base open, and if you happen to fall behind Newman, even though you have a great hitting Rafael Palmeiro batting next, still be careful. Don't let the right-hander beat you, or don't let a single by a right-hander beat you when you can still go after the left-hander. Newman tonight 0 for 2. He has struck out and fouled out. And the curveball is high and away. Al Newman up there with the defense just about straight away against him. And Johnson's pitch is a fastball in off the plate. 2 balls, no strikes. I would be surprised to see Johnson come in with anything in the heart of the plate here. High and away, and it's 3-0.
We saw earlier in the ball game basically hitting the spots that he wanted to, and now he has had really trouble locating the strike zone.
He's gotten a little bit quicker with his body. Maybe when you get a little tired, you tend to try and force it just a bit. Fastball inside, so 4 consecutive pitches out of the strike zone. Newman draws the 2 out, walk, and here comes Palmeiro. But when your legs start to get a little bit tired and you start moving forward, your balance isn't quite as good, and you tend to rush yourself toward home plate. That makes it difficult, especially if you were 6'10", to get that arm to catch up with your body. That walk, the 3rd issued by the Mariner left-hander tonight. So the bases are full. And Rafael Palmeiro, who has twice popped out to short, stands in. See if Rafael might change his hitting approach here. With 2 outs, Monty Ferris, who is now at 3rd, reached on a fielder's choice. Pudge Rodriguez had the opposite field double, and then Al Newman walked to load them up.
I'm sure what you're going to see is Palmeiro's really going to lock that front shoulder in.
And a breaking ball catches the strike zone. It's 1-1. Yeah, that's what I meant. It just, you know, it's a you almost give up the inside part of the plate, don't you, when you do that? Say, okay, you throw something out there, I'm going to take it the other way and try to hit it hard that way.
I think you have to. You have to lock off one part of the plate or a pitch. And basically, Johnson's been throwing fastball curve. You decide, well, I'm going to look for something hard, something away. Forget about anything inside.
Unless, of course, it's way inside and you need to vacate the premises. 2 balls and a strike. Johnson still working from the stretch. Fastball and Palmeiro trying to turn on that pitch a little bit. And no contact.
See the movement of really getting the bat ready and in position. The arms are going back, the front leg.
2 balls, 2 strikes the count. 2 outs and the base is full. Breaking ball, check swing. The appeal down to John Hirschbeck at third. He said no swing. And now the count is full. So all 3 Rangers will be off with the next pitch.
Most controversial call in baseball, the check swing. And if I'm Palmeiro right now, I've got to be looking hard.
There go the runners, and the pitch is popped foul toward the speaker, and it misses it, so it will go into the seats. Edgar Martinez over there to take a look.
I got to think the situation here in Palmeiro's favor. Johnson having trouble with the breaking ball, getting it over. Now I've got to think that he's going to try to challenge Palmeiro.
Bobby Valentine would like to see that challenge won by Rafael Palmeiro right now. So would Tom Robson, the Ranger hitting coach. There go the runners again. Palmeiro, a sharp ground ball, but O'Brien flags it down and wins the race to the bag. Rangers leave the bases full in the 5th. They had 1 hit and a couple of walks. Stretch or bottom half of the 5th inning coming up. It's still a 1-1 game. A sold-out Kingdom in Seattle, along with Jim Sundberg, our producer-director Dave Bird. Steve Busby with you tonight on opening night of 1992. And Nolan Ryan has matched up with Randy Johnson in what has become a 1-1 pitcher's duel as we go to the bottom of the 5th inning. And Nolan Ryan, who is entering his 26th Major League season, just keeps going and going, and no, that's really bad. I didn't come up. That was Dave Burchett's idea. I didn't come up with that.
And he likes the pink bunny.
Jay Buhner, first ball swing, lines one to left. Swinging it on a hop is Monty Ferris, and Buhner aboard with a leadoff single here in the Mariner 5th. So Jay Buhner, who had the sacrifice fly to account for the lone Mariner run in the 2nd, begins the 5th with a line single.
You see where Buhner likes the ball. For a right-handed hitter, he's a good low ball hitter. And the Rangers get lucky here. Ferris with a short hop, not used to playing on the turf, nor in left field. A lot of times you can go get behind it, circle, and come in, playing on a better hop. He went right after it.
Now Tino Martinez up there and takes a pitch low for ball 1. Martinez grounded to second baseman Al Newman back in the 2nd. So the hits now are even at 3. A 1-1 ball game. Tino Martinez, who had been looking for several years for his ticket to the major leagues, finally got it. Been a 300-plus AAA hitter for 2 consecutive years, and a very good glove at first, but just couldn't find a spot to work into the Mariner lineup. Alvin Davis at first, and then, of course, Pete O'Brien coming over. But now he's here at least as a DH tonight. There's a shot up the middle. That's the base hit. Buhner will check in at second as Gonzalez gets the ball back in, and the Mariners, with back-to-back singles, open up the 5th inning.
I've been impressed with this guy's stroke for some time. Ryan with a couple of singles here in the 5th, but a short, sweet stroke. Watch this, a fastball, and boom, head right on the ball. You see the leg coming back, getting his rhythm, a head right down. Throws that belly button right at the ball. One of the things Ted Williams used to talk about a lot is you throw that belly right at the pitcher. And the ball right up the middle.
The The catcher, number 10.
We'll take a look at the hip action right here. Take the middle of the body, throw it right at the pitcher. Boy, everything right on it.
That's pretty classic. So now we'll see how the Mariners play it. Rangers looking for the bunt from David Valley. Palmeiro in at first, and time called before Nolan Ryan could come to the plate. Rangers defensively, Dean Palmer in a couple of steps at third. It appears that he will not charge on this particular defense. Palmeiro, though, getting a pretty good running start from first. David Valley, a strikeout victim. Around to bunt and takes a strike. The throw to second, and Thon had to dive over Jay Buhner to make the grab on that throw.
Well, the best time to pick a guy off at second base is in this situation. A bunt situation where the runner at second is making sure he gets a good lead off the base. And Rodriguez going right for it. Dickie Thon with a nice job of keeping the ball in the infield.
Well, that's tough. He had to go all the way around big Jay Buhner. 0-1 the count. Again, Valley around to bunt and fouls it off. So David Valley not able to get the ball down in fair territory. And we'll see with 2 strikes whether Bill Plummer will elect to keep the sacrifice on with David Valley.
This is a tough situation to bunt. Probably the hardest situation to bunt. You're on AstroTurf, and with runners charging, Plummer has the sign on. You've got to be perfect with the bunt. And Valley not able to get it down there in the first 2 pitches. Plummer mentioned before the game that one of the things he is going to call on Valley to do down the bottom of the batting order is to try to get runners over with the sac bunt.
A time called momentarily. But Rodriguez doing a little house cleaning around home plate. Now we're set to go. Runners at first and second. 0-2 the count. Nobody out. Bottom of the 5th inning. Ryan said Valley not bunting, and the breaking ball just missed. 1-2. Action now down the left field line in the Ranger bullpen. Wayne Rosenthal and left-hander Floyd Bannister beginning to loosen. And there's Ray Burris behind the 2 of them. New Ranger bullpen coach, assistant pitching coach. Ryan with a 1-2 offering. Another breaking ball. See you later. David Valley pounds his bat on home plate. But Nolan Ryan records his 4th strikeout of the night.
Well, Ryan, if anybody has that knee buckler, watch that knee right there. The knees give way. You just can't swing the bat. He's a guy that can start that curveball at your head on the inside part of the plate and bring it over for a strike.
Valley has struck out twice tonight. You can see why. He swung at home plate and missed. And it was sitting still. No, I shouldn't say that. So 1 gone now. The number 9 hitter, Omar Vizquel, up there. And the curveball's low. 1-0.
55,918.
Vizquel with a 1-out single in the 3rd. And he had a stolen base, but was stranded at second base. Ryan a check of second. Jay Buhner's out there, and Vizquel a shot to left center. That's a base hit. Buhner being held up at third base. Gonzalez bobbled the ball, but Marty Martinez had already thrown up the stop sign. So the Rangers catch a break as Juan Gonzalez did not come up with the ball cleanly. However, Martinez had already held Buhner. The bases are loaded, but there's no run across. Well, Harold Reynolds coming up. And before he does, the Texas Ranger baseball is brought to you by Coca-Cola Texas, home of the real thing, and by Valvoline, the number 1 choice. People who know use Valvoline. So the bases are loaded for Harold Reynolds, who is 0 for 2 tonight. 3 hits in the inning, and the Mariners have not been able to score yet. Reynolds has grounded out and popped out. Strike 1.
So Texas got his work cut out for him now. A couple of good hitters coming up. Reynolds for leadoff hitter. Good productive man. Bobby Valentine, Dave Oliver looking on, and Doesn't get any easier after Reynolds. Got Martinez and then Griffey.
Ryan working from the stretch with the bases full. And the pitch to Reynolds is low. A ball and a strike. Well, the Rangers had the bases loaded in their half of the fifth, but failed to score. They, however, were loaded with 2 outs. Mariners right now have the bases loaded with just 1 out. Ranger infield looking for 2 up the middle. The corner men, Palmer and Palmeiro. Unless the ball is hit sharply, will probably come to the plate. That pitch fouled back just below us. A ball and 2 strikes. Nolan Ryan with his 9th opening day assignment in his 25-plus major league career. Right now, in a struggle.
In a situation where you really want to see the strikeout with 1 out and bases loaded. They really don't want to get a ball to the outfield or even really put a ball in play.
That is out of play on the third base side.
Reynolds very difficult to double up, and the infield second and short playing back for the double play.
Now the attendance we were talking about, a sellout here tonight, 55,918. That's the second largest attendance or second largest crowd ever to see a baseball game here in the Kingdom. We're going to have 3 openers, or the Rangers are going to have 3 openers. It'll be a home opener for Minnesota when the Rangers visit there on Friday night, and of course then next Monday the Ranger home opener at Arlington Stadium. 1 ball, 2 strikes. Ryan set. Reynolds waiting. Fastball, and Reynolds hanging tough as he fouls it off on the third base side. Well, Jay Buhner began things this inning with a leadoff single. That was followed by a Tino Martinez single. David Valley struck out, but then Omar Vizquel lined a single to center field. So they are there respectively, third, second, and first, with Harold Reynolds at the plate. A 1-1 ball game. Mariners threatening, however, to break that deadlock here in the fifth. Ryan ready once again. Fastball grounded to Palmeiro. He's coming to the plate. The throw is high and it's off the glove of Rodriguez. In the score of Buhner. And down the line is Tino Martinez. He scores. Into third base goes Vizquel, and safe at second is Harold Reynolds. It is 3-1 Seattle.
Well, the ball was hit hard enough. It was a good double play ball. You figure with Palmeiro at first base, Rodriguez behind the plate. I think what happened, basically the ball hit the lip, and Palmeiro did not get a good grip on the ball. He turns around, he sees the runner coming in very hard, tries to get rid of it quickly, throws it wild. Rodriguez barely able to get a glove on the ball.
Well, while we were looking at the replay, both Danny Wheat, the Ranger trainer, and Bobby Valentine out to the mound to talk to Nolan Ryan, and Nolan seemed to be shaking his head or nodding his head that yes, something's not quite right. The only problem that Nolan had during spring training is he had a tight Achilles tendon in his right foot. But that's going to do it here this evening. We will not speculate further. And that was not a major problem for Nolan in spring training. Wayne Rosenthal is coming on. As soon as we get word about Nolan Ryan, we will pass it along. But right now there's a pitching change. And while Rosenthal takes his warm-up tosses, we'll take a short timeout on the Ranger Baseball Network.
This righty, and with Ken Griffey Jr. coming up next and Bannister in the bullpen, probably will just face one batter here.
So runners at second and third with still just 1 out, 2 runs across. Rosenthal will be working to Edgar Martinez with the Ranger infield drawn in. Boy, on turf against a guy like Edgar Martinez, this is not an easy assignment. Rosenthal making a little bluff move to third, as if we were going to try a pickoff, but Omar Vizquel was the only person there. Even though he has 2 gloves on, I don't think he was going to catch the ball. Martinez struck out twice against Nolan Ryan. And he's seeing quite a contrast here between Nolan Ryan and Wayne Rosenthal. Looks at strike one.
From power pitcher with a big hook to sinker slider. Rosenthal very effective this spring with movement on the sinker and kept it down.
A ball and a strike. Also came up with that split finger pitch that, or perfected, I should say, and that made Bobby Valentine say that hey, if we don't have another left-hander in the bullpen, Wayne Rosenthal would be the guy I'd leave out there to face left-handers because that split finger pitch is so very effective against left-handers. Rosenthal's 1-1 delivery. 2 balls and a strike as that turns Martinez around.
We've talked about Martinez's ability to handle the bat really with a sinker ball pitcher and a guy that can inside out a pitch. In some cases works to his benefit. Hitter able to use his hands.
Swing and a miss, and it's 2-2.
And that's the pitch that we're talking about, the sinker that Rosenthal had that was so effective. The Rangers worked with his mechanics, got him squared away with home plate. You see his shoulders squared with Pudge Rodriguez. Last year would get himself tied up. And the openness of the shoulder, getting him through there, has made more movement on his fastball.
Rosenthal okays the sign from the stretch with runners at second and third. The 2-2 pitch. Down to third base, Palmer backhands and checks Vizquel back to the bag and throws out Edgar Martinez.
Center fielder.
Rosenthal got the ground ball, and for the Rangers, it was hit right at somebody with the infield drawn in. That's what you have to have on turf. 2 out.
Well, the Rangers fortunate, too, because as Bobby Valentine heads to the mound, but the worst place you can hit it with a runner at third base is right at the third baseman. And Valentine going to the bullpen, and we'll see Floyd Bannister.
So Bannister on his way in from the bullpen. Rosenthal gets the one hitter he was asked to face. And with the left-hander coming on to face Ken Griffey, we'll take another timeout on the Ranger Baseball Network.
Runners at second and third. Seattle up by 2 runs here in the bottom of the 5th inning. And Bobby Valentine going to the second reliever of this ball game, Floyd Bannister. Rangers coming up with Floyd. Bannister having an outstanding spring. One of the veteran pitchers invited to camp that came through.
Center fielder,
And a guy that will see probably a long relief most of this year, but he gives you some options. You have problems in the rotation, and Bannister able to come in and help out in that area. And Bobby Valentine with the percentage matchup, lefty against lefty.
Ken Griffey tonight has flied to right and walked both of those appearances against the starter Nolan Ryan. Bannister's first pitch is a strike to the outer part of the plate. So Ken Griffey trying to increase the Mariner lead. They have scored twice here in the 5th inning to take a 3-1 advantage. Bannister back to the plate. Got flagged down by Palmeiro. Throwing to Bannister, covering, who wins the race. And Rafael Palmeiro turning in an outstanding play. And that ends the Mariner threat, although they scored twice, 200 runs on 3 hits. We have played 5 from Seattle. It's now the Mariners 3 and the Rangers 1. Well, it's time now for tonight's game summary, brought to you by Lexus. Well, Nolan Ryan in the opening night here of 1992, 4 1/3 innings of work, 3 runs, 1 earned, 5 hits, and 4 strikeouts. Ruben Sierra's RBI double in the 4th brought home the lone Ranger run of the night. Seattle scored 200 runs in the 5th on Rafael Palmeiro's throwing error. Well, the Rangers, as we head to the 6th inning now, we have Juan Gonzalez, Ruben Sierra, and Brian Downing to face Randy Johnson. Johnson, over the last 2 innings, has been experiencing some control problems. So the Rangers, this big guy on the mound now, need to really go after him here, get back in this ball game.
I think, Buzz, this might be the inning to try to get him. You mentioned the control trouble he has had. He just sat for quite a while in the dugout and showing signs of having trouble loosening up, and you've got the heart of the Ranger batting order.
Juan Gonzalez, 1 out of 2. He has scored the only Ranger run tonight. He singled in the 4th and came on Ruben's double. All one off the glove of Valley and all the way back to the backstop. Gonzalez also has been called out on strikes. That was back in the 1st inning. Randy Johnson with a 1-0 pitch. Breaking ball, and almost knocked the feet right out from under Juan Gonzalez. 2-0. This is where you have to be a little bit patient with a guy like Randy Johnson. Make him throw a few pitches. Ball 3 is low.
He heard you. And of course, that could be coming from the dugout. The 2-0, take a pitch.
And the 3-0 pitch is high and away. Ball 4. So on 4 consecutive pitches, Juan Gonzalez draws a leadoff walk. And now Ruben Sierra coming up. That's the 4th walk issued by the Mariner left-hander.
And while we have a moment, we'd like to give you tonight's Southwest Airlines Trivia Quiz. Which pitcher lost the Rangers' first ever road game and later won their first ever home game? So we'll give you some time to think about that and give you the answer in the next half.
First ever?
First ever.
Dan Worthen making the trip out to the mound again. He'll be joined by David Valley. Got some action down the right field line. Did the Mariner bullpen. That's Gene Harris, right-hander up and throwing.
And it might be a trip, too, just to allow Harris some time to warm up. Johnson might have told Worthen in the dugout between innings that, look, I'm stiffening up a little bit. And this time in the dugout hasn't helped that much.
And 4 pitches that were not really close to the strike zone might have told Dan Worthen the same thing. So, meeting has concluded. Juan Gonzalez at first. Nobody out in the Rangers 6th. They trail 3-1. Ruben Sierra 1 out of 2 with his first RBI of this young season. Ruben with the double in the 4th, and he takes a strike. Ruben Sierra coming off another outstanding year. He had 307 for the Rangers. Drove in 116. That was good for 3rd in the American League.
And a lot of people picking Sierra as the preseason MVP favorite. Feels that with the lineup around him, a free agent year, big numbers.
That was after a high fastball, and Skies one to shallow left. Backing out Vizquel. Right behind him is Kevin Mitchell, but Vizquel really taking charge and making the catch and saying, see, big boy, I can make that catch.
You kind of get the feeling tonight that Vizquel likes fly balls. Here he takes one away from Mitchell. Earlier in the ball game, made an outstanding play in center field with Ken Griffey. Griffey having some fun with that, saying, hey, Kevin, you know, he wants the ball, let him have it.
He's also saying, you keep doing that, Omar, we're going to lose ourselves a shortstop. You get Mitchell with a full head of steam, and look out. A 1 gone. Gonzalez staying at first. Now Brian Downing, who is 0 for 2, takes a strike. Downing tonight has been called out on strikes, and he is also flied to right. Johnson back to the plate, and it's fouled straight back into the upper deck. Randy Johnson through the first 5 1/3 is allowed a run on 3 hits, 4 walks, and 5 strikeouts. Right now he has Juan Gonzalez at first via the walk. Pete O'Brien holding the bag over there and watching intently. Larry McCoy, the first base umpire. Popped up on the first base side. That will find its way into the lower deck. Still 0-2. Talking with Brian Downing down in spring training about that rib injury. Rib cage injury that's kind of bothered him. He said, yeah, well, it's about the best thing I can do for it. It's rested for about 5 years. He said, I got plenty of time after we get through playing. 1-2.
I had a rib injury one time. I would have loved to swing the bat like he does with a rib injury.
If you were that big, you probably could have. That's a large man. Counts even now as that breaking ball stays outside. Brian Downing's therapy for a bad rib was to go on a heavyweight program. Go back to his heavy lifting this last winter. He is something.
Kind of in his emergency swing there, the swing when he says he really needs a hit, he opens up his stance. He sees the ball a little better.
Gets fisted, loops one into center. Vizquel going out and again taking charge. He puts it away, and Ken Griffey didn't even bother to come within 30 feet of it. That's out number 2. Staying at first, Juan Gonzalez.
Vizquel putting a clinic on how to catch fly balls over your shoulder. That was not quite as difficult as it was early in the game with Griffey right there. In fact, for most people, that probably was difficult. For Vizquel, easy.
It's a great jump on pop-ups like that. Goes back and doesn't really worry about having to backpedal or anything else.
It makes that one very easy looking.
Now Dean Palmer in there and takes that breaking ball low. 1-0. Dean Palmer tonight has walked and struck out. Randy Johnson trying to work around the leadoff walk to Juan Gonzalez. A ball and a strike to Palmer. The feelings of Dean Palmer pretty well chronicled about having the third base job in his grasp going into spring training. Much more relaxed. And that has been his trend the last couple of years. He drives one high and deep to center field. Griffey back at the track at the wall. Goodbye. Dean Palmer, his first home run of the year, scoring in front of him, Juan Gonzalez, and we are back even at 3. And that is home run number 1 of many to come for both Dean Palmer and the Rangers.
Well, Johnson's shaking his head, and really there's not a part in the order that you can give up on. Dean Palmer with the congratulations of his teammates, and really picks on a good fastball here to hit. Actually, breaking pitch. Looked like he tried to run something in on him. Left it right in the middle of the plate, you see, from that spot. It almost looked like a 3/4 fastball that ran a little bit. You know, one of those pitches, I want to try to throw a strike here. Well, you don't do it with Dean Palmer.
Now Dickie Thon takes way high and outside. It's 2-0. And David Valley again going out to the mound to try and settle down his big left-hander. Well, that's an indication of how quickly the Rangers can turn things around. You get the leadoff walk and a couple of little pop-ups and you say, uh-oh. But then Dean Palmer changes your mind very quickly. So a 3-3 ball game. Thon awaits the 2-0 pitch. That's all the way to the backstop. And that was just barely headed southwest.
Well, Johnson really has changed here from the beginning to this point in the ball game. Early on, he was getting everything across. He was getting ahead of the hitters. Then he became very wild, and at times effectively wild in a sense, but now it's got to him here in the 6th.
3-1. I would have to say in all likelihood this will be his last hitter no matter what. See what Dickie Thon's able to do on the 3-1 pitch. Takes it for a strike and the count runs full. With 2 outs and nobody on, Thon trying to prolong things here in the 6th. Monty Ferris is next. Johnson with the payoff pitch. On a shot to left field. Who was playing deep, plays it on a hop. And Thon has the Rangers' 5th hit of the night. We'll see if that indeed will do it. Bill Plummer is up and on his way to the mound, and Randy Johnson will retire for the evening with 2 outs in the 6th and a runner at first base. The ball game tied at 3. Bill Plummer out, and the signal has gone out to Gene Harris, who is trotting in from the bullpen. Oh, both starters are finished. Dean Palmer and Dickie Thon. Dean Palmer crashing a long home run to drive Randy Johnson from the game. With the pitching change in progress, we will take another short timeout on the Ranger Television Network.
Back in the Kingdome, top of the 6th inning, score tied, runner at first, and Gene Harris on for the Mariners. They go from one power pitcher to another power pitcher. Gene Harris able to get the ball up there very quickly, mid-90s, and a good arm, looking to fill the gap that Bill Swift, Michael Jackson left. The trade for Mitchell, has a good slider and a change.
Monty Ferris at the plate, and Dickie Thon draws a throw to first. Monty Ferris tonight has walked and been on via a fielder's choice. So a 3-3 ball game. Rangers have fought back twice in this contest. We play in the top of the 6th inning. Out of play, well hit, but down the right field side and back into the seats.
And really the move to bring the right-hander in kind of opens up the whole bench for Bobby Valentine. 2 switch hitters on the bench with 3 left-handed hitters. And a combination of good power, some speed, and some good hitting from Jack Doherty on the bench.
Thon establishing his lead, 1 foot on the edge of the carpet. Pitch out, Thon not going anyplace. Gene Harris kind of telegraphing that pitch out, changed his entire delivery. So Dave Valley even had Thon had an idea of going to second. Thon, the experienced player, able to put the brakes on and get back to first. Pretty quick move by Gene Harris. And Dickie Thon diving back.
Harris really caught him leaning towards second. Not really sure if he was actually going another pickoff move. They're very close.
On that first one, he caught Dickie Thon looking in to see if he could see the sign. Thon just able to catch the... There goes Thon this time. The pitch swung on and missed, and that will do it. So the strikeout of Ferris. The Rangers' 6th has ended, but they scored twice on 2 hits. The big one, Dean Palmer's first home run of the year. Bottom of the 6th coming up. It's 3-3. Now we move to the bottom of the 6th inning. And Floyd Bannister on now in a 3-3 ball game will face the middle third of the Mariner order. Kevin Mitchell, Pete O'Brien, and Jay Buhner. So Floyd, the third Ranger pitcher employed by Bobby Valentine tonight. Nolan Ryan off the hook now. He left the ball game trailing 3-1, but Dean Palmer took care of that deficit. His first home run, a 2-run shot off of Randy Johnson to straightaway center field. Got the Rangers even.
I'm sure Nolan will not be happy with his outing, but I think a little better command of his pitches than he had in spring training. I think a little bit of an improvement.
Kevin Mitchell is 1 out of 2 tonight. He doubled in the 2nd, tied to left in the 4th inning. Bannister with a slider misses inside, 1-0. Big Kevin Mitchell trying to bring a presence to this Seattle club that they probably haven't had since, what did you say, Richie Zisk, or maybe it's been a while since they've had somebody who throws the kind of fear in the heart of an opposing pitcher Kevin Mitchell does from a power standpoint. Big breaking ball in and over. It's 1-2.
I don't think we've ever had anybody in Seattle that will put the fear in the pitchers that Mitchell will.
Just off the inside corner. The count even now. 2 balls, 2 strikes. I don't know. Willie Horton could throw some fear.
Put fear in the period.
Sharply hit ground ball. Palmer, a diving stop, gets up and throws wildly to first. It gets away from Palmero. Midland to second. Al Newman backs up play, but Mitchell safely aboard. Oh, what a play, though, by Dean Palmer to flag that ball down with a headlong dive. And a good throw would have gotten him. Would have been a great play to get Mitchell.
One of the things in the spring was to try to get Dean Palmer to play more deep. And that's the reason why he got to this ball. He's playing deep to the line. And with his gun, actually ended up putting himself in a position for an error. He has saved a team a double. You end up with an error.
Well, that will be a hit and an error. A single and an error on Dean Palmer. That is the second Ranger error of the night. Both of them have been of the throwing variety. And before Pete O'Brien stands in, let's take 5 seconds for station identification. This is the Texas Ranger Baseball Network.
You're watching Texas Rangers baseball on KTVT Channel 11, Fort Worth, Dallas.
Pete O'Brien 0 for 2 tonight, but he has been in this position before that, having to get Kevin Mitchell from second to third with nobody else. He was successful in that chore back in the second against Nolan Ryan. It led to the first Mariner run. Now here in the sixth, facing a little different task with the left-hander Floyd Bannister on the mound. Count evens as the pitch is down low. 1 ball, 1 strike.
O'Brien, the type of hitter, too, that can good fundamental baseball. If you need a fly ball with a runner at third, very consistent in doing that. Here the situation, just trying to move the runner to third.
Breaking pitch is up high. It's 2-1. Bannister trying to get Pete O'Brien to either hit the ball to the left side or pop it up, strike him out, but he's fallen behind in the count now. It's 3-1. Following O'Brien, a power right-handed hitter, Jay Buhner. Buhner with an RBI this evening. In fact, that's the only Mariner RBI tonight, I believe. Yes, it is. It's called down. The ball had gotten loose down from Ranger bullpen. Marv Esquivel retrieving it. And the action in the Ranger bullpen, right-hander Terry Matthews up and loosening. Three-one pitch, a towering fly ball down the right field line, near the corner on the foul pole. Goodbye. Pete O'Brien, a towering drive that caromed off the foul pole off of Floyd Bannister. And that makes it a 5-3 Seattle lead.
Now, Bannister got behind in the count to O'Brien. Looked like he didn't want to walk him. And O'Brien unloads on a middle in fastball. And not a good position to throw O'Brien in that particular count. O'Brien watching it, looking to see if it's going to stay fair, and it does.
Little body English by O'Brien. So his first home run of the year. Kevin Mitchell scoring in front of him. And now Jay Buhner, who is 1 for 1. He has scored, and he also has an RBI. Low. 1 ball, 1 strike.
Now in a situation you like to see the pitcher give in to the hitter.
Two and 1.
Really the mistake early in the count, you try to get ahead, all of a sudden you get behind, and you don't want to give in to a pretty good hitter in a fastball situation.
Bannister back to the plate. Buhner off the end of the bat. Fly ball, shallow center, in a hurry on Gonzalez, and makes a nice running catch. That is out number 1.
Designated hitter, Tino Martinez.
Now Bannister will face Tino Martinez. Now they're There now has been a change in the Ranger bullpen. Instead of Terry Matthews, it's Steve Firovid. Dino Martinez 1 out of 2. A run scored. 1 ball, no strikes. Martinez has grounded to second and singled to center. 2-0. So each time tonight that the Rangers have been able to fight back, the Mariners have answered. Two and 1 the count. One out, nobody aboard here in the 6th inning. Here's a dive in high and deep to right. Tierra looking up, goodbye. Two left-handers in the order. O'Brien and Martinez have touched left-hander Floyd Bannister for home runs here in the 6th inning.
Another fastball, about middle plate, and a short stroke of Martinez deposited out into right field. And I'm sure had Bannister made the mistakes in spring training, might not have been with the ball club. But left-hander you'd like to see get left-handers out.
So it's now a 6-3 Seattle advantage. David Valley, who has struck out twice, is up there, and the pitch is low. 2 balls and no strikes. Valley down swinging in the 3rd, caught looking in the 5th. Bannister back to the plate. A big swing and a miss, and Judge Rodriguez and something to David Valley. He's already been hit once in the wrist tonight, Valley's backswing. Shorten that thing up a little bit, will you? The 2-1 delivery. 3 balls and a strike. So Valley with 1 out trying to board the number 9 hitter. All waits, and that's Omar Vizquel.
And Bannister getting behind the count 2-0 and finally come out with a couple of breaking balls. And it's something that Bannister has to do.
This popped up foul territory first base side. It's playable for Judge Rodriguez right in front of Rafael Palmeiro. And that is out number 2.
And for Bannister does not have that overpowering fastball. You get in a fastball situation, you have to do something soft. You get ahead in the count, you get a little way, then you can throw your fastball. But he kind of pitched in reverse here, gotten behind, tried to challenge a couple of left-handers, and it hurt him.
Omar Vizquel, which hitting shortstop, 2 out of 2 this evening. He takes strike 1. Vizquel singled to left and singled to center. The Mariners 6 runs on 8 hits. Rangers 3 runs on 5 hits. Bannister with a 1-1 offering. Line drive, just foul down the field side. Vizquel likes to swing that bat. If they're just from the side anyway, he's not just trying to slap the thing around. 1-2 pitch. Into right, that's the big hit. Vizquel 3 out of 3, and the Mariners 6th inning continues.
You know, Vizquel's very typical of this ball club in general. Very aggressive guys that put the ball in play. They don't really strike out a lot and don't walk. Bobby Valentine to the mound, and he'll make a pitching move.
Well, that'll do it for the left-hander Floyd Bannister. And the right-hander Steve Firovid will be coming on. And this is one of the long home runs that did the damage for Floyd Bannister. That's Pete O'Brien's. There's also one Tino Martinez. So another pitch change for the Rangers. And well, Firovid comes on. We'll take a break on Ranger TV Network.
Well, not too long ago, we asked tonight's Southwest Airlines trivia quiz, which pitcher lost the Rangers' first ever road game and then later won the first ever home game? And the answer? Dick Bosman. He lost to the Angels on April 15th, 1-0, then turned around and beat them on April 21st of 72, 7-6. And Bobby Valentine making his third pitching move tonight. Steve Pyrovit on to work, sinker slider pitcher, and basically the opportunity, a member of the bomb squad, and got the opportunity with the 2-walk rule. And showed to be aggressive, kept the ball down, worked fast, and threw strikes.
The Pyrovit on in place of Floyd Bannister, who worked 1 inning. He has been charged thus far with 3 runs, 4 hits, and Vizquel at first base is his responsibility. Pyrovit firing to first, Vizquel back. Vizquel now 3 out of 3 is singled to each part of the field here tonight. Harold Reynolds at the plate, 0 for 3. He has grounded out twice and popped out. Pyrovit to check again of the runner. Now backs off. Mariners 6 runs on 9 hits now. They have shown the kind of explosiveness that they exhibited all spring long. There goes Vizquel. The pitch is a strike. The throw. See you later. That went on the money. And Vizquel shot down by a pretty good margin by Pudge Rodriguez. So the 6th inning comes to an end with a caught stealing. But the Mariners score 3 times on 4 hits. And we go to the 7th. It's 6-3 Seattle.
Texas Rangers baseball is brought to you by Budweiser, the king of beers, with that clean, crisp taste. Nothing beats a Bud. And by Phillips 66 high-quality super clean gasolines, keeping your car's fuel injectors and intake valves clean for smooth driving performance.
Top of the 7th inning, Pudge Rodriguez up there. Gene Harris back with the 2nd pitch of the inning, and it is ball 2. Rodriguez 1 out of 2 tonight. He doubled into the right field corner in the 5th inning. That was when the Rangers loaded the bases with 2 outs but could not produce. And ball 3 is low. So Gene Harris, trying to nurse along a 6-3 Mariner lead now, has fallen behind the leadoff hitter. Right-hander sets and throws strike 1. Rodriguez in the number 9 slot. We'll be back to the top of the order. Al Newman swinging a bat in the on-deck circle.
Well, I think maybe Bobby Valentine may go to his bench here in the 7th inning with Newman.
Into center field. Griffey started back, has to come on, and Junior makes the catch knee high. Well, 1 gone, and to the top of the order we go before Al Newman comes to the plate. Here's another Advil leaderboard for you. American League exhibition standings. The Rangers the best mark in the American League. 19-12. That was their best mark in exhibition history for the franchise. Baltimore 2nd, Boston, California in 3rd, and the Yankees were 5th. Matter of fact, the Rangers overall in the major leagues had the 3rd best record behind Cincinnati and Montreal. Al Newman turns around to bat left-handed against the right-hander, Gene Harris. Newman 0 for 2 with a walk, a strikeout, and a pop-out tonight. Pulls this one on the ground. A diving stop by Reynolds from his knees. He throws out Al Newman. 3-time Gold Glove winner. Harold Reynolds showing you why with that kind of range.
He'll be first to tell you that an important part of playing second base is concentration and positioning. There he had Newman pulled over and allowed him that extra jump he needed to get to that ball. Very cool. And a good little second baseman.
The 2 gone in the Rangers 7th. Rafael Palmeiro to the plate. Rafael 0 for 3 tonight. He's popped out twice and grounded out and takes a Harris fastball inside. Chopper first base way. O'Brien flips to Harris. And the Rangers, thanks to some pretty good Mariner defense, go pretty quietly in the 7th. 1-2-3. Stretch half of the 7th coming up. It is 6-3 Seattle.
Texas Rangers baseball is brought to you by Goodies, the South's #1 headache powder, and by the Southwestern Bell family of companies.
Yeah, the 7th inning stretch. It is sold out Seattle Kingdom. The hometown folks have seen their Mariners, thanks to the long ball tonight. Pete O'Brien and Tino Martinez take a 6-3 lead as we go to the bottom of the 7th inning. And the top of the order, Harold Reynolds, Edgar Martinez, and Ken Griffey to face Steve Fireovid. Reynolds was left standing at home plate as Omar Vizquel was shot down trying to steal by Pudge Rodriguez to end the 6th. Fireovid misses. It's ball 1. Mentioned Reynolds tonight, 0 for 3. Rodriguez now has thrown out 2 of 3 Mariners. Down the first base side, a fair ball and headed toward the corner. Reynolds around first, and he stops as he missed the bag and has to go back to retouch. First base coach Rusty Kuntz right there to start yelling at him. Reynolds slipped as he tried to make his cut going around the bag, and he missed the first base. Realized it and said, well, I better hang on. So what would have been a sure double and maybe a triple is turned into a long single. Rangers have caught a couple of breaks tonight, but they haven't been able to do much with them. Well, that is base hit number 10 for Seattle. And now Edgar Martinez. Edgar 0 for 3. 2 strikeouts and a ground out. Fireovid to first base, and back is Reynolds.
A lot of times what happens in the first game of a series will dictate what will go on the remainder of the series. And Rodriguez showing Bill Plummer that, he's going to throw a few guys out this year. And you stop the running game just like that in one game.
Remember the first ball game that Ivan Rodriguez played in the big leagues against the Chicago White Sox. He had 2 throwouts very quickly, and that stopped the White Sox from running the entire series. I'm trying to remember who it was. Lance Johnson was one of them was thrown out. Joey Cora. 2 pretty quick guys, and they were both nailed by a good 10 feet. And manager of the White Sox at that time, Jeff Torborg, said, hey, that's plenty, thank you. You made a believer out of me. Fireovid to check of first, now backs off the rubber.
And Bill Plummer really showing an aggressive style coming out of the chute here in the first ball game. And not having managed in the American League, I'm sure there'll be a lot of opposing managers who will be feeling their way through until Plummer begins to show some kind of pattern. But this is a ball club that Seattle Mariners have that not only do they have a little bit of speed where they can try to steal, but they got enough contact hitters that you can use the hit and run. And that may be the thing that they'll want to use the remainder of the series against the Rangers and Rodriguez.
Reynolds at first, nobody out. A 1-0 count to Edgar Martinez. Fireovid a check, and again a toss to first. And Reynolds back. Harold Reynolds with 28 stolen bases last year. Has good speed, although his percentage last year was down a bit from years past. Fireovid again, a long look over there, and time called. Rodriguez again out to talk to Fireovid.
But I told him, hey, look, throw it in here. Don't worry about it. I'll get him.
You just throw it to me and duck if he goes.
Just throw it to me, buddy, and duck. Maybe better yet, just get off the mound.
Yeah. He may not be able to duck low enough.
I hit him in the knees.
1-0 pitch. Check swing roller to second. Newman has just one play. That is to throw at Edgar Martinez. Into second goes Harold Reynolds. Before Ken Griffey steps in, the Southwest Airlines scoring summary tonight. Bottom of the second, Mitchell scored on Buhner's sacrifice fly, 1-0 Seattle. Then the Rangers came back. Gonzalez scoring on Ruben Sierra's 2-out double. That made it 1-1 top of the fourth. In the bottom of the fifth, Buhner and Martinez score on Palmeiro's throwing error. That made it 3-1 Mariners. Then Dean Palmer's 2-run home run scored Ruben Sierra in front of him. Tied that at 3 in the top of the sixth. Bottom of the sixth, however, Pete O'Brien homered a 2-run shot with Mitchell aboard, and then Tino Martinez a solo home run, and that takes us to where we are now, 6-3 Seattle. Ken Griffey, 0 for 2 tonight, is at the plate. Harold Reynolds, bottom right hand of your screen, out there at second, 1 gone. Steve Firovit, a check of second, and the pitch to Griffey. Good fastball to the outside corner, 0-2. This is the spot that you would have predicted Griffey to be protected by Kevin Mitchell. Firovit has nailed down that outside corner and almost did it a third straight time. Made some pretty good pitches to the young man.
Kind of a good flow through the Mariner lineup at this point. Lefty, righty, lefty. If you go to walk Griffey, you've got Mitchell coming up with a left-hander behind him.
You might talk just a minute, Jim, about what protecting a hitter means. What in what context are you using it? If you've got Mitchell behind Ken Griffey, what does that make the pitcher do? And what does it make the catcher do as far as calling the game? Line drive to left. Ferris in a hurry, and Monty Ferris with a nice running catch. Reynolds back to second base.
Well, basically, in the past, in fact, last year, Ken Griffey Jr. had a tremendous amount of intentional base on balls. And the teams that would bypass him and just to go to the next hitter. The fact that having Kevin Mitchell behind Griffey, all of a sudden you look in the on-deck circle with Griffey up and you go, wait a minute. We got a pretty good threat over there in the on-deck circle. If we walk Griffey, this guy in the on-deck circle is not only a good hitter, he hits for power, he's a good clutch hitter. So then you think twice about pitching around Griffey.
So it's not just the intentional walk you're talking about. It's pitching around, trying to make perfect pitches to Griffey instead of coming right after him in spots. Kevin Mitchell tonight, 2 out of 3. He has scored 2 runs, single and a double. Sandwiched in between was a fly ball to left field.
A couple of young budding stars. I mean, there already are stars in the American League. Ken Griffey Jr., Frank Thomas with the White Sox. And both teams picking up hitters, big hitters this year to hit behind and protect both those youngsters. And you could see, some of the biggest seasons from those guys. We looked Frank Thomas last year with the amount of home runs he hit and RBIs and walked about 130 some times. Now George Bell to hit behind him, Mitchell to hit behind Griffey, and could see some big years by those number 3 hitters in the lineup for both those teams.
A ball and a strike, the count to Kevin Mitchell. 2 outs, bottom of the 7th inning. Harold Reynolds at second base. Steve Firovit working to Mitchell. Pretty good fastball. Got him in on the fist, and it's 1-2.
Mitchell first heard about coming to Seattle. Look how he gets on the plate, just trying to make hitters, the pitcher say, hey, bring it in here. Throw that fastball in the inside part of the plate.
Yeah, he was on the plate to start off with, and then his first move is to almost bail out away from the plate. That's kind of a double cross if you're a pitcher.
Well, I've always thought hitters that got on the plate that basically were telling me they want the ball inside.
Shot up the middle. That's a base hit. Reynolds around third. Gonzalez to throw way offline, and it gets by everybody. So Mitchell will go into second base. It is 7-3, and the Rangers now have committed 3 errors on the evening. Juan Gonzalez missing not only the cutoff man Rafael Palmeiro, but missing Pudge Rodriguez.
First baseman, Pete.
And Mitchell really showing you why he's a good hitter. This is a breaking ball as if he was sitting on it. And the reason for that, he hits it right up the middle. Normally a guy that is not looking for a breaking ball will pull it, but Mitchell hits it right up the middle. And Gonzalez with a throw way down the line. Mitchell at second and 2 outs.
Well, Mitchell with the RBI, and now Pete O'Brien, who's 1 out of 3 with a 2-run home run. Ball 1. Well, the Mariners now 7 runs on 11 hits. Kevin Mitchell has 3 tonight. Omar Vizquel has 3 this evening. Fire over to the plate, and it's low and inside. 2 balls and no strikes to Pete O'Brien. O'Brien, besides his 2-run home run in the 6th inning, has flied to right field and grounded to second base. There's a drive toward the gap in left center. Ferris on his horse, can't get there. One hopping off the wall. Mitchell scores easily. In the second goes O'Brien. It is 8-3 Seattle. Bobby Valentine clapping his hands, but I think the enthusiasm that would normally show is not quite there right now. You have to say, wait a minute, this didn't happen in spring training, not to a ball club that won 11 of its last 15, but it's happening here in opening night. And Jay Buhner takes a pitch outside, 1-0. Buhner 1 out of 2 officially tonight. He's had a sacrifice fly. He's also singled and scored, and right out to center.
And basically showing a vulnerability that the Rangers have feared since going into spring training is that of the long relief. Long and middle.
And defense. All the weaknesses that people had pointed out prior to the 1992 season have shown up here, but don't forget this is game 1 of 162. 2-0 the count to Buhner. O'Brien the lead away from fire over to the plate. Fouled off.
Everybody's taking some pretty good hacks up there. You got to go back to the fact of the chemistry that Mitchell brings to the batting order. All the way down there, everybody basically set Reynolds, good leadoff hitter. Martinez, a good number 2 man. Gritty, usually your best hitter in the 3rd slot. Your most power at number 4 in Mitchell. And then O'Brien and Buhner giving support behind there.
Good fastball at the knees on the outside corner.
Not to forget Tino Martinez down in that 7 spot. A good spot for a youngster who looking to develop his stroke. And pitchers have a tendency to get down in the batting order to take a 7th hitter quite as serious. But looked to be a good spot for him to have success.
And the count runs full to Buhner. Jay Buhner trying to keep things going here in the Mariners 7th. If he is able to get aboard, Tino Martinez is next. You know, you go back to the Rangers last year when they were swinging the bats so well, 14-game hitting streak, and other times during a winning streak, 14 other times after that 14-game winning streak. Everybody said hitting is contagious. The ground ball to short. Dickie Thon gobbles it up. I'll continue with that thought as we go to the 8th inning, as the Mariners score a couple of more times, and to the 8th we go. It's now the Mariners by 5.
It's Tuesday.
And before we go to the 8th inning for the Rangers, tonight's Just Breaks, just the play we needed. In the 4th inning, Ken Griffey shot down by Pudge Rodriguez, one of 2 Mariners that Rodriguez has nailed tonight. And that is our Just Breaks play of the game. Just Breaks, just what you need. And the Rangers right now don't need just that. They need 5 to tie. And Juan Gonzalez, now 1 out of 3 as he grounds out to begin the Ranger 8. Omar Vizquel, pretty slick fielding shortstop. He's done it with the bat tonight too. He is 3 out of 3.
Underrated, and probably could see with the talk about Mitchell's addition to the lineup and how that affects everybody. Probably moves all the way down to the number 9 spot. Make it a little bit better hitting season for Vizquel.
Ruben Sierra 1 out of 3 on the evening with an RBI double. Gene Harris starting his 2nd full inning of work. He is the pitcher of record right now for Bill Plummer's Seattle Mariners. 2-0 the count to Ruben. Harris came on in the 6th inning. Got the final out of that inning in a 3-3 ball game. Then the Mariners exploded for 3 in the 6th. And 2 more in the 7th. 3-0. Ruben Sierra hitting 4th to be followed by the DH slot. And it doesn't look like it's going to be Brian Downing. All 4 is inside. Jack Doherty off the Ranger bench will come on as a pinch hitter for Downing. That's the first walk issued by Harris. And action down in the Seattle bullpen.
Please. Hitting for Brian Downing, number 8, Jack Doherty.
Left-hander Kevin Brown, and the right-hander is Calvin Jones.
Well, Kevin Brown, a pitcher they'll use probably primarily against left-handed batters. And Jones, the combination with Harris to try to fulfill that role that was vacated by Swift and Jackson. Jack Doherty coming on here. Bobby Valentine beginning to go to his bench. And probably won't be the last of it.
Jack takes a strike. It's 1-1. Doherty suffering through an injury-plagued and illness-plagued in 1991. Probably happy to have that season behind him. A strike to the inner part. It's 1-2. Jack also had some problems in spring training, hitting just 197.
I like his comment about himself. He's a blue chip reserve.
He's right.
It is.
Yeah. And down on strikes, a foul tip. And held on to. No, it was not. Now they're going to, home plate umpire Jim Evans is going to ask first base umpire Larry McCoy whether the ball was held onto by Valley or dropped. And it is a strikeout. Larry McCoy said the ball did not touch the ground. So Doherty is gone on strikes. That is out number 2.
Third baseman Dean Palmer.
Yeah, I think it's a case basically there whether he managed to keep the ball in the glove, and he was able to do that.
That's one of those plays where I don't think any of the other umpires could have seen it. Not the only one that could have seen it is the home plate umpire if he's going to look straight down. But by the time he did that, there's nothing to look at. Everyone's screened out by the glove of David Valley. So Harris with his 2nd strikeout. And Dean Palmer up there. Dean Palmer, a long home run to center field in the 6th inning. 1 out of 2 officially on the night. And he's ahead of the count. 2 balls and no strikes. Low and outside, 3-0. Dean Palmer hitting 6th in the lineup to be followed by the Rangers shortstop, Dickie Thon. 3-1. Well, the Rangers Rangers could use a little bit of that Port Charlotte explosiveness here tonight. Trailing by 5. Palmer fouls it back.
A pretty good swing at that pitch. In fact, the Rangers, with the home run ability, can get right back into this ball game. You take another 2-run, you take a 2-run shot here by Palmer, and then you go round to the top of the batting order. You got a few other guys that can hit the ball out. Reimer's still on the bench.
Just outside, so Palmer draws a 2-out walk. Sierra to second. Second walk of the inning and of the game for Gene Harris. Now Dickie Thon coming aboard. Now Texas Rangers baseball is brought to you in part by Lexus Luxury Automobiles, the result of relentless pursuit of perfection. By Nations Bank, the power to make a difference. And by Whataburger, where they serve the genuine article 24 hours a day. Dickie Thon 1 out of 3 tonight. Harris a check of Sierra. 1-1. Runners at first and second. Sierra at the bottom of your picture. He is trailed by Dean Palmer, both aboard via the walk here in the 8th. There's a shot hit deep to left field. Mitchell retreating at the wall. It's off the top of the wall. Sierra scores. Palmer to third. He will stop there. And into second base with a double and an RBI is Dickie Thon, who came within just a foot or so of having a home run. So there's the power that Dickie Thon can show you.
See the head right on the ball. The thing about the Rangers, you take a 5-run lead coming into this inning. Tendency is for a pitcher is to throw fastballs. You take a good fastball hitting club and they'll put you right back in the ball game. Now runners at second and third. 4 runs down, and Kevin Reimer will be hitting for Monty Ferris.
Hitting for Monty Ferris. For 47, Kevin Reimer.
So Kevin Reimer to the plate. Reimer, as Jim told you, one of just a trio of Rangers to left-handed hitters to hit 20 or more home runs in a season. Now here comes Bill Plummer out of the Mariner dugout. And a very good chance we're going to have a pitching change here. Oh, is Plummer going to go with the left-hander versus left-hander matchup? Yes, he is. So Plummer signaling wants the left-hander Kevin Brown. Gene Harris finished, and the pitching change being made while the left-hander makes his way in from the Mariner bullpen. An 8-4 Mariner lead, but the Rangers are threatening here in the 8th. We will take a timeout on the Ranger Baseball Network.
Well, the Rangers fighting back here top of the 8th inning. And score 8-4 Seattle. Kevin Brown on for the Mariners. Brown picked up on waivers from the Milwaukee Brewers about a few days ago. 0-3 for the spring. And a guy that Plummer basically said will use to get one left-handed batter out. And that's his job against Reimer.
And Kevin Reimer up there. Brown misses high and inside. Kevin Reimer coming off a very good spring also. Reimer hit .308 with 4 home runs and 11 RBI. Rangers trailing by 4. In the pitch to the inside corner. 1 ball, 1 strike.
And basically, Reimer with the idea of possibly getting 600 at-bats in this year and against left-handed pitching, had 3 home runs in spring training against lefties.
There's a drive hit well to right field. Buhner going back at the wall. Looking up. It's off the scoreboard. Palmer scores. Thon scores. Reimer to second with a 2-run double. And the Rangers have cut the Mariner lead to 2. It is 8-6. Kevin Reimer hitting one off the scoreboard in right center field. A 2-run double.
You know, this night has turned into a typical Ranger ball game. A lot of offense. And Kevin Reimer, the big leg kick. And a ball middle of the plate. And you can see by the way his head went, the direction of the ball. And Bill Plummer going again to the bullpen. And we'll have another pitching change.
Your attention, please.
So Calvin Jones coming on, and that will do it. Kevin Brown, or I should say Kevin Brown knocked out by Kevin Reimer. And, well, Calvin Jones comes on to take his warm-up tosses. We'll again take a timeout on the Ranger Baseball Network.
Making his third pitching change tonight, Calvin Jones on here as the Rangers within 2 in the top of the 8th inning, 2 outs, and Kevin Reimer at second base. Jones with an outstanding fastball, 90+ mile an hour, and a good fork ball.
So Calvin Jones on now, and the Rangers all of a sudden have the tying run at home plate. This time in the person of Ivan Rodriguez, who is 1 out of 3. Reimer at second base, and there's the fork ball in the dirt, 1-0.
Well, if the Rangers can keep this inning going, they've got Newman coming up next, but Bobby Valentine possibly will go with Gino Petralli as a pitch hitter and use Jeff Houston as a defensive replacement. The Rangers still with life left.
The 1-0 pitch. Again in the dirt. Dave Valley doing a good job of knocking down those fork balls, and Bobby Valentine with Toby Harrah to his right. All of a sudden, that enthusiasm level on the bench has gone up a bit.
And what this inning does also is it gets you back to the top of the batting order for the 9th inning, and possibly where percentages and everything are in your favor. You've got Petralli, who could lead off, followed by Palmeiro, and then you've got Gonzalez and Sierra. Well, the Rangers still upping pressure.
The 2-0 pitch in the dirt again. Valley getting a workout. He must think he's back in spring training. Working on blocking balls in the dirt. 3-0.
Well, he must have a heck of a fork. I've never seen pitchers with good fork balls come out and throw 3 of them like that into the dirt. You don't really want to put the tying run on base.
Each successive one has been a little bit shorter. There is the closer. Schooler. Mike Schooler down there. There's a strike. And Mike Schooler has a lot on his shoulders in the early going for the Mariners this year. Injury-plagued 1991. He's trying to bounce back, and also it doesn't have Michael Jackson down there to help him out. 3-1 pitch. Full count to Pudge.
That I probably don't understand there with the 3-1 count. And I think I've got to have Rodriguez taking another strike. The ball probably out of the strike zone. And you've got runners at first and second.
And that's a good point for your number 9 hitter, especially when he's the tying run. So the count is full. Rodriguez trying to keep this Ranger 8th inning alive. 2 outs. Kevin Reimer at second base. Rangers have punched across 3 to cut the Mariner lead to 8-6. Payoff pitch. Again fouled up. Rodriguez tonight has grounded into a double play, doubled into right, and flied to center field. A .264 hitter last year. Ball 4, and the tying runs are aboard. And Bobby Valentine will indeed go to his bench. Bill Plummer trying to figure out what in the world he can do to stop this Ranger uprising.
Well, the Mariners showing their vulnerability in the bullpen tonight. Basically, that was a real problem in spring training, and with this Mariners pitching staff without half of the last year's pitchers, trying to fill that need for long and short relief. They got the stopper taken care of, and Mike Schooler and Gino Petralli will be hitting for Al Newman.
So Gino Petralli coming in off the Ranger bench. You have to remember now that the Rangers are only carrying 2 catchers this year. Gino and Pudge Rodriguez. And here comes Bill Plummer. So it looks like we're going to have a Petralli-Mike Schooler matchup. Well, they trail by 2, but the Rangers have 2 aboard now. And Gino Petralli on to face Mike Schooler. Petrale last year, the numbers 271, was limited to 87 ball games. Had 2 home runs, drove in 20. Mike Schooler, because of injury, limited to 34 ball games with the Mariners. First pitch, ball 1. So Gino representing the go-ahead run in this ball game.
You know, with the Ranger offense, you can never count them out. They just continue to come back. They can throw a lot of different things at you.
Schooler ready, a check of Reimer. Petrale, a drive hit high and deep to right field. Buehler looking up, goodbye. A 3-run pinch hit home run, and the Rangers have taken a 9-8 lead. They have put a 6th spot on the board in the 8th. Oh, what an opening night for 1992.
Wow. Gino Petrale has not seen a fastball he didn't like. Schooler coming right down the middle. As a pitch hitter, the one thing you want to do, you come up looking hard, and you look right off the bat. And Gino does it, and he lifts it into right field. The Rangers up by a run.
Second Ranger home run of the night. Mercy.
Ranger baseball.
0-1 pitch to Palmeiro. 1-1 Rafael, 0 for 4 tonight. So the Rangers with 6 in the 8th inning. The last 3 compliments of the newly shorn Gino Petrale. The home run, and now a shot down the line, and Rafael Palmeiro cruises into second, his first double of the year. Something he did 49 times last year.
Center fielder Juan Gonzalez.
Hey, what? Anytime you watch Ranger baseball this year, don't go away before, as they say, the fat lady sings.
Rafael finally getting on the board here tonight, and a pitch in the middle of the plate. Schooler, nothing but middle of the plate pitches. And Palmeiro at second.
Well, the Rangers now have batted around in the 8th inning. Juan Gonzalez, who started the inning by grounding out, takes a strike. Still 2 outs. Gonzalez 1 out of 3 tonight. And some more action now. Kenny Rogers and Terry Matthews up. Rogers had not been up before. Matthews had been last inning. Off-speed pitch swung on and missed. It's 0-2 to Gonzalez. No balls, 2 strikes to count. Palmeiro at second base. The Rangers have taken a 9-8 lead here in the 8th inning. Schooler, a check of Palmeiro. A ball and 2 strikes. And right here, let's take 5 seconds for station identification. This is the Texas Rangers Baseball Network.
You're watching Texas Rangers Baseball on KTVT Channel 11, Fort Worth, Dallas.
Schooler set, and the 1-2 pitch will not be made. Palmeiro with a gigantic lead at second. The middle infielders, Vizquel and Reynolds, not paying much attention to Palmeiro. They're worn out from trying to go out and make cutoffs. Now Schooler ready. Again in the dirt. Downey blocks it nicely. 2-2.
I don't think the Rangers are over with. I think they've got a couple of more runs in them. Good offensive, but truly good offensive clubs have the ability to overcome the mental strain of knowing they have to come out every night and try to produce runs. This is a ball club that is outstanding.
The 2-2 delivery. Chop foul. Now, as you mentioned earlier, Jim, there is just no let-up in the Ranger offense. Whether it be in the starting lineup or the versatility that the Rangers have coming off the bench on any given night.
Well, if you go back into the 6th inning, I think, as Petrali can tell you, being a catcher, that against this ball club, you don't let up to throw fastballs. And I think Johnson back in that 6th inning led up in a couple of situations to throw strikes and got himself in trouble. One was a home run to Dean Palmer, and then turned around and tried to do it with Dickie Thong. He got a base hit, kept the inning going.
Still 2-2 as Juan Gonzalez finding off some tough breaking pitches from Mike Schooler. Valley sets the target on the outside part of the plate. And Schooler misses out there with a fastball, and the count runs full. Well, Juan Gonzalez trying to get aboard. If he keeps the inning alive, it gets a lot easier. There's Ruben.
All this with 2 outs. The Rangers just really kept pouring it on. Valentine making the moves. Reimer with a double. Petrali the home run.
Payoff pitch. Off the fist, ground ball slowly hit to third. Martinez off balance throw, not in time. Juan Gonzalez showing you that burst of speed. Martinez playing deep, could not throw him out, and the Ranger 8th inning continues.
Well, Gonzalez gets down the line pretty good. This can make the difference of a couple of points during the course of a season. You can beat a couple of these out. Martinez, who has improved defensively over the last few years, not able to get Gonzalez.
Well, Juan with the infield base hit. The Rangers now in double figures. They have 10 hits on the night. Palmeiro at third. Gonzalez at first. And Ruben Sierra to the plate. Ruben walked and scored his first time up here in the 8th inning. A strike to the outside corner.
Well, I definitely haven't been impressed with Mike Schooler. Normally you see him come in and he's got a nasty fastball with a hard slider. We just have not seen that tonight.
Schooler a throw to first.
And if Schooler was the point of being optimistic in the bullpen, wow, they're going for a lot of 3.5-hour ball games.
Sierra going after that pitch out away from him, fouls it off on the third base side. It's 0-2. Ruben tonight 1 out of 3 and an RBI double in the 4th. Sierra, the only man in the American League to have better than 200 runs produced last year. 1-2.
How about the shock some of the Ranger fans are going to have in the morning when they went to bed at midnight thinking the Rangers had gotten beat 8-3. Find out they had won the game.
Might as well get used to it. Schooler back to the plate. Sierra shot toward the gap in left center. In to score, Palmeiro. On his way to third is Gonzalez. The throw not in time, and Sierra to second. It is 10-8 Rangers as Ruben Sierra gets the RBI single and goes to second on the throw. And Bill Plummer, oh no, I thought we left this stuff in the Cactus League, but no, yeah, brought it to the Kingdom.
Well, again, Sierra pitching in. Little opposite field power. Some nice base running by Juan Gonzalez. Very aggressive. He got the lead. Go ahead. Go to third. Now all of a sudden you have runners at second and third.
And the 12th man to come to the plate here in the 8th inning, Jack Doherty, takes inside, ball 1. Doherty, who pinch hit this inning and struck out, replacing Brian Downing in the DH spot. Up there with the runners at second and third. Count evens at 1-1. So the Rangers with a 7 spot in the 8th. And they still are not finished. A 10-8 Texas lead. Mike Schooler ready. And Doherty pulls one foul into the seats down the right field line. Bill Plummer is called down for his last victim, if you will. Clay Parker throwing in the Mariner bullpen. Doherty shoots one the other way by Martinez. Base hit. Gonzalez scores. Here comes Sierra. He will score. It is 12-8. The Rangers have broken it wide open with 9 in the 8th inning. Have sent 9 men to the plate since there was an out recorded. The last out was made by Jack Doherty when he struck out, and he just had the 2 RBI single. Now Dean Palmer, who walked and scored. Doherty at first, and Dean Palmer. Well, we talked about hitting being contagious. Going after that high fastball.
So one thing is here you try to do is quality swings, and here's a quality one.
0-2. Since Doherty struck out, there have been 2 walks and 7 base hits. And 9 runs. 1-2.
As a hitter, you know, you make the approach in a ball game is try to get up and hit as many balls or many at-bats as try to hit the ball as hard as you can. A lot of times the only way to do that is to have good swings consistently. Rangers very consistent here in the last couple innings.
And Palmer down on strikes. The Ranger comes to an end. But they score 9 times on 7 hits. Bottom of the 8th coming up. It's now the Rangers on top. 12-8. The drastic. One hopper off the bat of Tino Martinez, a new second baseman, Jeff Houston. Hill. There's a drive hit high and deep to left field. Reimer at the wall, leaps up goodbye.
Of left-handed hitters with Valley coming up next. Probably you'll see the pinch hitter.
Russell gets him on the fist. Shallow fly ball to center. Here comes Juan Gonzalez, and now the Mariners are down to their final out. Pete O'Brien remaining at first. Deficit, much to the chagrin of Bill Plummer and the Mariners. Riley has shot up the middle. That's the base hit. O'Brien checks into second, and the tying runs are aboard with 2 outs. And Scott Bradley coming off the bench as a pinch hitter. Trying to stay away from going back to the top of the order, and the man you saw, Harold Reynolds. Russell ready. The runners go. The payoff pitch. Got him swinging. And Jeff Russell records his first save. The Rangers put victory #1 in the books on opening night, 1992, and what a wild and woolly one it was. But the Rangers come out on top of the Mariners 12-10. Oh, a sellout crowd here in the Kingdome certainly got their money's worth. maybe a little bit disappointed, but certainly not at the quality of offensive baseball that they were able to see. So a 12-10 final. We will total up our books, be back with the summary and some final comments right after this. Back at the Kingdome, where 3 hours and 56 minutes after it began, the Rangers, thanks to a 9-run 8th inning, take a 12-10 victory over Seattle on opening night. For the Rangers, 12 runs on 12 hits. They left 6 and had 3 errors. For the Mariners, 10 runs on 17 hits. They left 8 and played errorless ball. The winner, Steve Farovid, in relief. He's 1-0. Jeff Russell, his first save. And Calvin Jones took the loss. He is 0-1. Again, the total attendance, 55,918 here in Seattle. So it will be game number 2 tomorrow night from Seattle. Then you can join us for our next Ranger telecast. It'll be the Rangers and the Mariners. And Kevin Brown and Eric Hansen will face each other in game 2 tomorrow night from the Kingdome. Once again, the final score of tonight's game, Texas 12 and Seattle 10. So now for Jim Sundberg, this is Steve Busby saying good night from the Kingdome in Seattle. This has been a presentation of KTVT Sports.